Well, hello, everybody out there. Hope everybody's having a fantastic week. Thank you for being a part of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube once again. Before we get started, of course, a couple of housekeeping things. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Wherever you'd like to download your podcast in audio form, we are available in those various spaces. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at ConApproach, CONAPPROACH. We actually uploaded one of our videos to the TikTok channel today. So if you guys are over there and you spend most of your time on TikTok, go ahead and search us at ConApproach and follow us over there. You can engage with the content over there. We are monitoring that channel as well. Other than that, man, JB Wins Dogon SS as usual, here to kick it with some flavor in your ear. Another dose of social commentary on this wonderful March the 31st, 2026, the last day of March. Hope everybody's having a good one, man. But as always, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. As we like to do, man, the first thing that we are going to do is talk about J.Cole. Now, this is running it back. We're running it back because we did discuss J.Cole last week. So if there was any question as to whether J.Cole is a friend of the channel as of last week, I want to say he has officially crossed the threshold into friend of the channel territory. So congratulations to Mr. J.Cole for being a friend of the channel. Salutations to you, sir. You certainly deserve it. But we are going to talk about J.Cole, who J.Cole is doing a lot of interviews. He's in public a lot these days. He's getting ready to go on tour because he released his supposedly final solo album, The Fall Off, last month. Right. And the hip-hop world is eating it up. Favorable reviews. Everybody's loving it. Everybody's talking about how great it is. And, so J.Cole, in preparation for his tour and just to do press to talk about the album and his next career move in general, is giving a lot of sound bites, this being one of them, which I thought was interesting, in which he talks about being competitive on the mic and how that's really not him. It's more of a persona. So this says, J. Cole says, best rapper alive bars are a persona. That's how I like to rap. J. Cole is setting the record straight on one of rap's most common claims, revealing that his boasts about being the best rapper alive don't always reflect how he actually sees himself. During an appearance on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, the rapper said the confidence heard in his music is more of a creative mindset than a constant real-life belief. He mentioned some people he thought may also be in competition for the best rapper alive title. Bro, his N-words named Black Thought that exists, is N-words named Lupe Fiasco that exists, is N-words that on any given day, even my peers, a Drake or a Kendrick Lamar, where I know on any given day I can show up to the studio and give these N-words 80, but I know they can show up on any day in the studio and give me 80, and I might only have 30. Cole explained that the bold declarations in his lyrics come from stepping into a competitive persona when he records. If I'm taking on a rap persona, that's how I like to rap. And guess what? Sometimes I hit the mark and say stuff and I spit a verse that really might have you believing that stuff. But if you ask me in real life, do I walk around like I'm the best rapper alive? No. Like I'm the best ever? No. But when I put on that cape, that's how I try to attack stuff. He also acknowledged that there are moments in the studio where he feels untouchable, but those moments don't define his overall mindset. Have there been things and moments and verses where I'm writing this stuff and I'm like, I know N-words not effing with this. Absolutely. But in reality, do I walk around this earth like there's no N-word better than me in real life? Like I can't get in the studio with Black Thought and he just gave me 90 and I'm sitting there like I got 25 for you, or any of these amazing rappers. So I didn't do my background check to see whether Carmelo Anthony and those boys on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn have gone the way of Joe Budden and they'll flag your video anytime that you share their stuff. So that's why I didn't actually play the soundbite of him saying this. But the link to this article is in the description of this video. You can check out the full interview for yourself if you have not already done so. So there's Jermaine Cole himself saying that he just does that when he steps into the booth. But otherwise, in his real life, he doesn't walk around feeling like he actually is the best. It's more of a persona. So do you buy what he's selling? Do you agree with that take?
Yeah, I agree with him. And I guess this is part of. It's unfortunate to say this, but it's a part of his brand to keep it dishonest, especially after he apologized. This is in that same lane of being transparent. One of the things that rappers are not allowed to do is to be transparent um, off the mic. You can be as transparent as you want, I believe, I guess, like on an actual song, because while also being transparent on a song, that bravado or persona also is in there. So you can be transparent about your life, what you got going on and stuff like that in a song, and people would really just treat that as artistic and move on. But J. Cole actually got on stage after dissing Kendrick and literally apologized and backed off, which is very transparent, and tried to explain why he was sorry, which is also transparent. And people don't want to hear that from a rapper. They want bravado, they want arrogance, they want an ego. They want you to beat your chest to say that you're the best rapper alive, even though you deep down know that you're not. So this goes on that same campaign of him just being transparent as a rapper, and him saying that yeah, there's people out there like Black Thought and Lupe. I agree. We had a topic where we was covering Lupe, and somebody in the comment section had mentioned like, "Hey man, y'all gotta listen to that Lupe album." And afterwards, I did. I listened to it. He's rapping his ass off on that damn thing, bro. The one where he was like I don't know the name of it off the top, but he was looking like an anime character or whatever on the cover, like he was a samurai, something samurai, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was rapping his ass off on that thing. It was a few songs in there where I'm like, if people actually stack this rhyme scheme up against other all-time rhyme schemes, people would be like, damn, who said that? It's like, hey, that was actually Lupe that said that. So there's rappers out there that can out rap your favorite rapper, for instance. So, but just being a rapidy rapper, that don't really, people really don't give those people their flowers because they're not mainstream. So J. Cole is mainstream. He took on that whole bravado, that whole persona of being, your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. He'll beat your favorite rapper. Y'all can't see him on the mic or whatever. Like he took all of that stuff on. And when you don't have anything else to rap about, you kind of have to say that. So basically it's really good filler. So there's a whole song in here and you have to say something. So that persona, that filler is kind of like what people used to do back in the day of MCing, and they're telling other MCs why you can't see me on a mic. So I say all that stuff to say is that he adopted that, granted, but also with him adopting that type of style of rapping or whatever, deep down in his mind, he's allowed to say that there's people out there that's better than me, even though I'm gonna tell y'all I'm better than them. And that shouldn't come off as weird. It should pretty much come off as normal. But I'm telling you right now, people are going to add this to his list of transparency just to say how not it he really is. So I don't know if these things are doing good for his campaign or damage. Me personally, I like it. I like the honesty, but then again, I'm not mainstream. So mainstream people are going to just look at him and go, and throw him under the bus like how they did when he apologized. They're going to call it lame and all this other stuff. And how dare you say you're the best rapper later or any derivative of it later when you clearly admitted that you don't think you're as good as certain people. So there's some people that's not gonna let him live this down, but it's an art form and it's just a part of MCing, if you ask me. But what are your thoughts, man, on J. Cole coming clean, saying that, hey man, I may say I'm the one of the best rappers out there, but I know that there's guys out there that are better than me. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying when you say that rappers aren't allowed to be transparent outside of music, because I can understand that. Um, I draw a parallel between music and sports because in a lot of ways they kind of function the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like a basketball player, for example, I think fans appreciate basketball players or professional athletes in general who aren't afraid to exclaim how they feel as though they're the best player, even though it might not be true. They don't care to explain it themselves. It's just a belief that they have in themselves. And for the most part, I think fans accept that relationship. Now, what fans are going to turn around and do is critique the comments and have debates as to whether there's validity to what said athlete has to say. But you kind of accept that as part of the game. Mm-hmm. It's a situation in which you signed up for this. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be somebody who talks about being the best receiver in the league or the best two guard in the NBA or one of the best players to ever play in baseball or hockey or whatever, whether it's true or not isn't necessarily your concern. You're almost obligated to believe that way because, if you listen to any psychotherapist or anybody else who's done it in that particular field, even if we're not talking about sports, we can be talking about business. There's a conventional wisdom that in order to achieve those particular heights, you have to have an unreasonable amount of confidence in yourself, even if said confidence is not true. So whether you're the best receiver in the league or not is true, you almost have an obligation to yourself to internalize that. And you don't really have any preoccupations with whether the public is going to agree with it or not. It's not your job to be concerned with that. It's your job to believe it and internalize it because that's going to help to propel you to maximize on your potential. So when it comes to sports, guys talk like that all the time, and it's just water under the bridge, even with the criticism, because we see with mainstream sports debate all the time, when this kind of stuff comes up, it just creates content for people to talk about. And I don't really think that the athletes are stewing worried about whether the public or the media agrees that they're the best. They move on about their day. And I think I think in a lot of ways, rappers are the same way. I really don't think Black Thought, for example, if Black Thought were to say I'm the best rapper or the greatest lyricist to ever do this, does Black Thought believe, and this is a complete hypothetical, but like if Black Thought were to say that, is Black Thought going to be concerned with whether most people in the public or in the media agree that he is or not? Or is he just going to say, yeah, I said it and it is what it is? I don't think so, because I think he's built for that. And I'm just using Black Thought as an example. I don't really know if he's built like that or not. But J. Cole is somebody who's clearly conflicted. And despite the fact that he appears to be somebody who's saying these things internally, he appears to be somebody who isn't necessarily built to be able to accept that ebb and flow relationship of not everybody's going to agree with this. And there might come some, shrapnel that comes along with you making these claims. J. Cole's an interesting guy. I hear it in his music. I get the feeling at times that he's very much conflicted. He deals with a lot of conflicting dichotomies within himself personally, and it's reflected in his music. He doesn't know whether he's a, super real tough guy or if he's a not soft, but an empathetic, introspective, emotional person who's not the biggest tough guy in the world. Is he a ladies' man who wants to run around in the streets smashing all of the women, or is he a one-woman married guy, a family guy? There's a lot of conflict with him, and it comes through in his music. And this whole competition thing is also an aspect of his internal conflict, because just like most other rappers or professional athletes can more easily accept that they have this belief and they can internalize it and not be concerned with explaining themselves to everybody else. Here he goes explaining himself. And I just kind of feel like, in to a certain degree, I do agree with you for the most part, because I do appreciate the honesty.
Mhm.
But as someone who grew up playing sports, and just in general, as somebody who, depending on the context, does tend to have some irrational confidence about himself, I also embrace the spirit of competition and don't think there's anything wrong with that level of internal belief, nor do I feel the need to explain myself. It's not necessarily my responsibility to concern myself with whether you agree with my internal confidence or not. We can have debates back and forth, but if you don't agree, at the end of the day, it's water under the bridge. We can both move on. I believe this about myself.
Mhm.
So I'm going to keep moving in that spirit. And I'm
Mhm.
just going to chalk it up to competition. Me believing this doesn't mean that I'm a great person or a bad person. And it doesn't believe that I think I'm better than you or worse than you. It's just something that helps propel me to get to the next level.
Mhm.
So in a lot of ways, there's a part of me that kind of thinks that he does these kinds of things unnecessarily, because he's discomforted with the idea that people are going to check him for embracing music competition, when people really are only going to check him for running away from it. Especially especially when you're the one who does the thing, when you get on the microphone and talk about how you eat rappers alive and how you're better than your fans' favorite rapper. So, just embrace it and go all in on it. But this internal conflict, it just kind of speaks to me as a person who deals with this strife and doesn't really know how to reconcile it.
Mhm.
And he comes from a sports background. He played basketball himself. So I
Right.
just don't understand this apprehensiveness that he has towards competition. I don't relate to it personally, because I don't care whether people agree with how good I am at something or not. And I'm still somebody who can also take in constructive criticism when it comes.
Mhm.
So, it is what it is, man. I just think that this is a musical type. This is just like a basketball player is well entitled to believe that they're the best player in the league. I think J. Cole is entitled to believe that he's the best rapper in the game. So much so that he doesn't actually have to qualify that by getting in an interview and saying, I'm really not, guys. I just like to do that from time to time because that's my rap persona. Like, I kind of feel like at certain points, certain things are better left unsaid. I do believe that if, I don't know, let's take Anthony Edwards, for example.
Mhm.
If Anthony Edwards were doing interviews and saying, I just kind of feel like with my performance and what I bring to the game, that I'm the best player in the league, I would be like, oh, I don't agree with that, but right on, Anthony Edwards, do your thing. And then 3 weeks later, he's doing an interview and he's just like, you know what, guys? Let me be honest with you guys. I really, I really don't think I'm the best player in the league. I just say those things from time to time, but I really don't think that. Within the context of the spirit of competition, I would think that that was weak. Now, I don't think that he as a human being is weak, but within the context of the spirit of competition, I do think that that's a little weak, because no one cares. Like, keep doing what you're doing and don't be preoccupied with whether people agree with you or not.
That's an interesting take, bro. Um, and I think that I think that part of his internal thing that he has going on is that he feels as though people need to be more real, and he probably thinks the rap game is fake, and he wants to be the example of being a real one in the rap game. Now, if you ask J. Cole if he thinks he's a real one or one of the realest in the game, he would tell you yeah. And it's because he would he would get in a beef and then apologize and back out and not feel like less of a man. Because why does it matter? What difference does that make in the grand scheme of things? And people need to get over this whole somebody is the best rapper, because how do you quantify that?
I agree. But he's the one who's doing it, though.
He's doing it. And this is why I brought up the point earlier, because it's filler. it's a persona for sure to, I guess, put a battery in your back. No different than JJ McCarthy calling them JJ, yeah, McCarthy calling himself Nine. It's just one of those things that you gotta do. You don't have to do it, but it's one of those things that people did or do to put a battery in their back to go perform to the level that they think that they can't do otherwise. So they'll do these things, and like I said, it's filler in the sense that when you don't talk about trapping, you don't talk about other forms of degeneracy, and you're left to just talk about scenarios, situations, real life. One of the cop out zones where it's not selling drugs or anything like that, but you can still have a bravado about yourself is saying that you're the best rapper, best lyricist. And it helps that you actually have lyrics, that you got actually have bars. So it can carry itself to the extent that, okay, he might not be the best, but he carries himself like he's one of the best to the point where his persona precedes him, to the point where him backing out of the beef, everybody was like, what are you doing? Aren't you one of the best? He did it so well. So it's a good filler. You can take up many tracks. If you're running into issues as far as like you're talking about a certain topic, but you don't have anything else to say, you can immediately dig into that bag of bravado about how nice you are on a mic. And it's just good filler. So J. Cole don't talk about dumb stuff for the most part. He pretty much keeps it on brand about having songs that have substance. But in those songs that have substance, you still need a little filler in there, and that's what he does. He's been doing that. So my thing is, if you want to say this now, I don't know what you're going to do later on for filler. Oh, he's not going to be rapping anymore. So maybe that's why he don't care about letting that cat out of the bag. All right, but it's just filler. And whenever I used to do my stuff, I found that was a nice lane to exploit. There's so many areas you can explore with that. And you can just go song after song after song about saying how nice you are over another rapper, or how, whatever. And whenever I found myself in pockets, I can easily refer to that, and I'll get out of that little pocket and I got more area to play with just because I said I'm better than X, Y, or Z. So it's a nice little thing, but it's just like one of those tricks of the trade where I agree with you in the sense of, why do you feel like you got to tell us that? Even if, because I'm pretty sure if there was a poll out there and people say, do you think J. Cole really thinks he's the best rapper? I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have been like, before he even said this, probably would have been like, I don't think he really thinks that. I think he thinks there are people better than him. So for him to come out and say it and say that, blah, 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 it does seem like a little wasteful. But that's why I think he has another agenda out here, and that's to be the transparent rapper. He's tired of carrying all these burdens of, I am the best rapper, or I am one of the best rappers. Like, leave me alone. You backed out of a beef. And it's like, yeah, this stuff's going to follow him. So I think his remedy to all of these things is just being open and honest. So whether that ruins some of his mystique or whatever, I think he'd rather live with his honesty than to try to keep up a front, because him backing out of that beef that was a big blow up for him. Yeah. So I think, but we talked about it then, and you mentioned it now with him grappling with this on and off thing. And yeah, this is a part of that. And I think that him saying that, you know what, I'm gonna just be open and honest, because honesty is the best policy. You know what, guys, I do think Black Thought can rap better than me. I agree. I do think Black Thought is better than J. Cole. I do think Lupe is better than J. Cole, but I think J. Cole is still nice. And I think for whatever he does, whatever that lane he is, he does well in it. And I think he knows that too. So, but all that stuff to say is, did he have to share this? I think it's a little overshareage. I don't think we needed to know that. I think we can pretty much surmise that by if you listen.
Well, J. Cole, I don't think J. Cole in the eyes of the hip hop world has ever been I don't think J. Cole, I could be wrong about this, but I don't recall ever seeing, reading, hearing anything in which J. Cole is under fire for being fake. I don't think that that's a thing that J. Cole has ever had to navigate.
That's fair.
So you know what I'm saying? It's like he's copping to something that he's never had to address because no one ever suspected that that was a part of his quote unquote persona.
That's fair.
And to that end, if this is a part of the next phase in his career where he just wants to be completely open and honest, then all of those bravado bars got to go. Like you can't go back to it. Like
I
you
don't know
can't
what he's
be,
gonna say.
yeah, like you can't be rapping like that again. It was like, what are you gonna do back and forth? Say, hey guys, just buy into it only when it's in music. But now that I'm not making music anymore, remember to turn that off. Don't buy it because that's not really me. You can't do back and forth like that, in my opinion.
That's fair.
And I do think the only reason why there was such a strong reaction to him apologizing is because people did look at him like that. I think a lot of people perceive him to occupy this space of superior rap ability. Like I think he's held in high regard in the game. Like I think the fan base, the media base, everybody looks at him and they hold him in high regard in terms of his body of work, his skills. So for him to believe that and for him to say it on music, no one's checking him on it because in their eyes it's justified. So if it's justified, you don't need to really walk it back. Like just kind of embrace it. Like it is what it is. Like no one's checking you on that. Mm-hmm. But I'm not in his head. I'm not in his head. So I can't really psychoanalyze where it's coming from. I just hope, and I mean this sincerely, I hope that he finds the peace that he's looking for because I don't know, I get the impression with him that he just has different, and I don't know J.Cole personally, but I've listened to a lot of his music and I've seen a lot of his like public appearances, interviews and stuff. He deals with a lot of internal conflict. I think that there's a tug and pull between what he would like to be if he was a different human and had a different personality and different sets of values. And there's a cognitive dissonance that he struggles with in terms of what that is and what he truly is as a human and how he actually is built as a person. I said it before. I said on other videos, I kind of feel like, and this is pure speculation on my part, but I get the impression that sometimes J. Cole wishes he was like Drake. Like I feel like J. Cole wishes he was Drake in terms of just the makeup of his character. Like those two guys might get along and they might be friends with one another, but I don't think that they are the same person.
No.
They're not the same human. And I think I think in an alternate reality, if J. Cole could be Drake, the personality type, I think that he would trade that in because I think he wants to be smashing all of the models and the strippers and doing all of the crazy stuff Drake does. I think he wants to walk in that light, or at the very least he once did. And he never really could, even though he wanted to. And so he kind of lived vicariously through his music almost. But it creates a lot of internal conflict for him because how do you reconcile those conflicting emotions? So I just hope that he finds the peace that he seeks. And if he already found it, good for him for sure. But in terms of the spirit of competition, I kind of feel like this could have been left unsaid because I don't really think anybody was barking at him for being inauthentic in any kind of way, at least from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Well, I think him backing out of the beef is what may have sparked some of that. Because I recall even you on here was saying, "Well, dog, don't you say you like one of the best in the game? Like, what you doing?" So that was a genuine question from you at that time. So I'm pretty sure he's had to deal with that a lot. So as you say, he deals with these internal things. So I'm sure he's had that come across him a lot. And this is probably something he had to get off his chest in the sense that, I may say those things, but I just say that because that's what you say on songs. Like, get off my back, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And J. Cole, he's an interesting guy. Quick little thing. Like when I first heard him, I was like, he's me. This is me. If I was in a studio and I had he's saying what I think. He's saying what I went through. He's just a very interesting person from that perspective, in the sense of, bro, I know exactly what you're talking about, bro. And so at least for me with him, I really think that he's done. The reason why he walks around like he's Jesus, you know what I'm saying? The only thing he don't have is a staff and you know what I'm saying? And some shit and some sandals. He probably walks around in sandals, but he'll pull up in you in a Honda Chevy, a Honda Civic real quick. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And all of that, people may say that's part of his persona too. Who knows? But I think he walks around like he's Moses because what he deals with as a person, he feels as though he crossed over, sold out, this, that. So part of him pulling back from that aspect of Mr. Clean Cut, looking like Drake and all that stuff and all other things is this guy. And so he has these things where he internally he goes, yeah, I went there, but you know, I grow and I'm open to explaining me growing, which is also a lot of the stories he tells in his songs is it's like a progression of thought, you know.
mm-hmm.
So even in stuff in his younger days, I'm pretty sure there's some contradictory stuff that he's came out with recently because he grew. So I think that him being an industry guy, people don't want to say that, but he's an industry man. He's an industry man who I think is a regular guy, and he tries to battle. That's part of the internal thing. I guess that industry part of him is the Drake aspect, and the regular part of him is the part of him that goes, yeah, but I don't want that. I don't want a BBL model wife. He probably got one, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think his wife is a regular chick.
Yeah, I think he's a regular guy that happened to get in the rap game. And then what end up happening is he deals with that a lot.
Yeah,
And I think the part of him that does the most talking outside of songs is the part of him that's regular. And it
yeah,
seems a little contradictory. It seems a little lame. It seems a little this or that. But it's like, well, that's who he is. And it's okay for him. J. Cole's a lame dude. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that like how the Lennox girl meant. You know what I'm saying? He boring. And it's okay. So I don't know, man. I just think that he tells the wrong crowd this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs to keep this, like you say, he needs to keep this to himself or to private people. But I think that part of him that feels like he's got to be honest all the time is the regular part of him that's so happened to be famous. So I don't know, man. I like it. I like it. I appreciate him and his transparencies, but the rap game don't want to hear it. I'll tell you that.
yeah. Well, I mean, he set himself up for that. Like, well, then just don't. I don't know. You can't. It's difficult for me to see you having it both ways. I don't know how you can. I
Let the
don't know.
man
I
have it
don't
both
know. I don't know
ways.
how you can get on your songs and talk about how great you are, but then in private, well, not even in private, on interviews and in the public sphere, talk about how you're not actually great. Like you either think you're great or you don't. It's just the modesty can only take you so far, man. But again, I just hope that he finds whatever peace that he is looking for. And if he has found it, good on him. I'm happy for him. Like
Yeah,
to me, this for me is purely a musical thing. I'm not trying to get into him as a human, as
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah.
It's not personal. It's purely about music and competition. That's it. No different than if it was about an athlete talking like this. You know, I'm judging it based upon his on-court performance, and I judge J. Cole's work based on his on-court performance, and it stacks up. And I'm not the hugest fan of his, but it stacks up enough to where I don't feel like he needs to explain himself all the time. But
Yeah, hey man, shout out to J. Cole, man.
yeah,
Just
shout out to
just
Cole.
a conflicted young man, you know.
Shout out to Cole, man. Once again, 2 weeks in a row, Mr. Cole. Congratulations, sir.
Chill.
All right, we move on to talk about Jay-Z. Jay-Z is another person who's doing a lot of public, well, I don't know about a lot, but he did a string of interviews over the course of the last week or so. One was with GQ. Jay-Z recently announced that he's doing some shows this summer, I believe in July, to commemorate the anniversaries of Reasonable Doubt and the Blueprint. The shows sold out in a very brief amount of time, so much so that they added a third day. Not gonna lie, I wish I was going. One of the things on my bucket list of things to do before I die was to attend a live Jay-Z show, and I've never done that. And I don't know that I'll ever get the chance. So that's unfortunate. But I know I'm not going to New York City, and I'm not dealing with all of that, especially with all of this TSA stuff going on right now. I'm straight.
Boy, oh boy.
I don't know if they're going to get that figured out or not, but as of right now, I'm not booking any flights. But Jay-Z recently sat down with GQ. If I can get this thing to share, there we go. So he sat down with GQ and they talked about a bunch of stuff. Is he dropping new music? The anniversary of the aforementioned 2 albums that these live shows are commemorating. And one of the things that they talked about was personal character juxtaposed to becoming wealthy. And Jay-Z expressed his beliefs on the idea of rich people being inherently bad, or the notion of blaming rich people for stuff being a cop out. There was something else that he talked about, or at what point do you become bad, given your wealth and all of these other kind of things. So this says Jay-Z argues criticism of billionaires is a cop out. Jay-Z discussed his status as a billionaire while speaking with Fraser Tharp for an interview with GQ published on Tuesday. In doing so, he defended the billionaire class, arguing that he isn't concerned about critics of his wealth. So I'm going to skip the quote because I'm going to actually play the sound. Elsewhere in the conversation, Jay-Z discussed not appearing on Clip's album, Let God Sort Him Out, and in doing so, seemingly hinted at work on new music. I think the first thing that I'll say, it has to be said from me. I don't want to be so rigid with it, though. I'm going to keep that open. I'm going to take that back. I don't want to be so rigid, but at that moment, I was like, yeah, I want to do something, but in order for me to move forward, I got to get this stuff out. I got to get it out. So here is that sound where they're talking about the nexus that exists between money and personal character and so on and so forth.
I want to go back to this idea we were talking about just doing things the right way, even when that comes to like attaining wealth and continuing to amass wealth. We're talking about B-sides. One of your illest lines to me is face to the ceiling, race to a billion, heaven on earth, will his wings still fit him? So like, what's the answer to that question? Is it a constant struggle to maintain?
Your morality defines who you are, right? It's not what you've attained. It's not a dollar amount that changes you.
Yeah.
And if so, what is that dollar amount?
Mm-hmm.
When does it start? Is it 100,000? Is it 150? Like at what point, if it's a cutoff, if it's like all millionaires are bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So at 999,000, I'm good. It can't be that way, right? It doesn't make any sense. The system is set up against me, against us. But I'm talking about my specific struggle.
Yeah.
Everything was against me. My talent, not taking advantage of people, not taking advantage of a system, not creating tax loopholes, not just taking from other people. No, my talent pushed against all the headwind. And with that success, I've done things with my reach that I wanted to do that was helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And with the system that we have, what are you going to do? Because I don't believe in that the idea that someone has a certain amount of money, it defines their personality.
Mm-hmm. So when you have like an example like that versus like the kind of, I would say, commonplace public perception that someone would say all billionaires are bad or no one should have $1 billion. Like, what's the tension in that?
I got to give you the honest answer.
Please.
There's no tension.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you can believe what you want to believe.
Word.
And people behave the way they want to behave.
Mm-hmm. You was who you was before you got here.
You was who you was before you got here. Yeah. That's the makeup of your person.
Okay. Did that come through clean?
Because it got a little choppy here or there, but it didn't interrupt the message.
Okay. So what did you think about that exchange and his thoughts about you are who you are and money doesn't necessarily do anything because it was in you to be the way that you are, whether you had the money or not, and is there a cutoff? There was a lot going on there, so I don't know which part of that you latched on to more than anything else.
I think that this guy's the opposite of J. Cole. Okay, now in the last topic, I was just saying that J. Cole is a normal guy that so happened to be in the industry, and I think Jay-Z is an industry man in the industry, and of course, he's got a rebuttal to this billionaire thing. Now, of course, listen, I personally don't walk around and say just because you're a billionaire that means you're a crappy person, but I would say if you are a billionaire, odds are you are a crappy person. So it's not an absolute statement. Okay, and I think Jay-Z fits in that class of people that would do anything that it takes, because he did, in my opinion, did whatever it took to be in that billionaire class. So he can play these semantics games where he says, "What's the cutoff? Is it 999,000? Is it a million? Oh, so I just need one more dollar and I'm not evil." Like, don't play with me, bro, because this argument isn't about those semantical kind of things. As far as I'm concerned, and whatever type of aura that is attached to Jay-Z, that people feels like he's evil. Okay, he earned that. People ain't saying and I don't mean by his paycheck. He earned that through actions. He earned that through people who knew him. He earned that through stories. Okay, we saw the elbows that he rubs, and it's not the same elbows of the same people that everybody else rubs. He rubs different kinds of elbows, and he can say he pushed through with his talent, which to a degree is true. So there's degrees and levels of industry guys. And Jay-Z found a way to climb the highest of ladders of industry, man. So he was able to get in these rooms with these billionaires, so much so that he'll pop up on the email. So he can say that what he has done wasn't evil and he's helped out a lot of people, which could be fair, man. I mean, it could be fair. I mean, I'm sure he's fed families. But then there's people out there that also will point to the fact that he helped the gentrification of Brooklyn because he was more of a spokesperson and he wasn't really an owner of the Brooklyn Nets. He had to make it palatable to the people in Brooklyn. There's people there to say that. And there's people there that lost homes, lost houses and stuff like that, had to get moved or relocated because of the great things that Jay-Z has done. His stories go on, and they're not made up. They're not fabricated. Okay, he's the one that's sitting there rubbing elbows and in image with people who are associated with actual satanic rituals. I'm not making this up. These people write books about it, and he's sitting there hanging out with them. So what is the threshold, Jay-Z? You're doing a lot of dancing with these people who are open about stuff that's not cool with everybody else. And if they so happen to be billionaires or chilling with the billionaire class, bro, you've earned that. So we talked about before, like, if there's enough smoke, there has to be a fire somewhere near. This guy's got a lot of smoke around him. So it's not, if he wants to get into this philosophical conversation about what is the threshold, how much do you have to earn in order to be called evil, he can play that little semantical game if he wants. But in this context, if we're talking about you, Jay-Z, Mr. Sean Carter, all right, you have enough around you, and it's not your dollar amount, that shows that you have been hanging out with, literally in bed with, people who do shady, shiesty things. So that's the angle I want to approach this, is the fact that I feel as though he's trying to wordsmith me like this is one of his tracks. He's trying to give me a fresh 80, as J. Cole would say, but I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? I just gave him 90. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Jay-Z saying that, hey, man, what is the threshold of evil? I'm not evil just because I have $1 billion. What are your thoughts, man?
I agree with his sentiment in that I do believe that money and things, I think money is in the same category as things like drugs and alcohol. I think that they are amplifiers of your already previously established personal code. So if you're already a hellraiser, then money and other vices are going to turn you into a more elevated form of a hellraiser. And if you are a quote unquote regular person, or an actual empathetic person, or a caring person, or sort of an inherently philanthropically minded person, then I think introduction to vices isn't going to steer you off that. And I believe that money is just going to amplify your tendency to lean into those various things. So if you already had a giving heart, becoming a billionaire is just going to make you more of a giver. If you already naturally were a caring person, you're going to figure out a way to exercise the need that you feel, the urgency that you feel to do caring things for people when you come into $1 billion. So I think what he's saying is true in that way. I do believe that you were who you were before you got here. I do think that. And I think that worldly possessions, money, and vices are merely exacerbators of your own previously established moral code. I do think that. But however, the problem with this particular talking point is I believe him to be a very intelligent person. I do think that. I'm not assessing his character in any kind of way. I'm just saying I think he's a smart human. Smart humans can be good and smart humans can be bad. Just because you're a smart human doesn't mean you're a good person, or vice versa. But I do believe that he's a smart human. And if I'm to believe that he's a smart human, I also believe that he understands that I don't necessarily think that this is a stigmatization that is attached to all wealthy people. I think that this is a stigmatization that tends to become attached to wealthy people, specifically in the entertainment industry. So I think that when it comes to, I don't think that there's a running commentary on all rich people. Well, maybe there is, depending on who you talk to. But I think for the most part, in terms of like popular culture or things going on and how people talk about this stuff on the internet and whatnot, whenever people are talking about weird stuff going on with rich people, it's usually people who are directly involved in the entertainment industry, or maybe attached in an adjacent manner to the entertainment industry. No one's really speculating whether there's weird stuff going on with the millionaire or the billionaire who made their money in construction or oil or sports, or, well, sports is the entertainment industry too, but it's not exactly the same. But you get my drift. Any other area of industry, I don't think that that's necessarily a stigma that people are having to address on a regular basis. I think that this is something that is strictly specific to the entertainment industry. So what I would have liked to have heard is his thoughts and feelings with respect to that when it comes to the entertainment industry, because he knows very well that that kind of persistent thought process tends to accompany people who rise to that level of prominence in the entertainment industry, not necessarily in the world at large. No one cares about the billionaire. Like, look at all of these people who own these professional sports franchises. Like, no one's questioning what weird stuff Mark Cuban's into. Like, no one's questioning what weird stuff Mickey Arison, the guy who owns the Heat, is into. Like, no one's questioning the weird things that the Maloof brothers, who used to own the Sacramento Kings, are into, or the guy who owns the Warriors and the Rams. I forget his name, but he's another billionaire dude, right? So like, no one's really thinking about or speculating what weird stuff they're into. It's all about what kind of things people are into in the entertainment industry. And so if he's as intelligent as I believe him to be, I believe he knows that. And so his failure to address that, to me, is intentional. Very much just like we talk about these people. See, with me, I'm going to believe you when you tell me how smart you are. I am. I'm going to believe you. But if I'm going to believe that you're as smart as you tell me that you are, I'm then also going to apply your relative level of intelligence to everything that you say and do.
Yeah.
Because if I'm that intelligent and I am aware of what's going on in the cultural zeitgeist in terms of what's being said about me, and I fail to address it, then that means I'm skirting it on purpose. I'm not acting as though it doesn't exist for the sake of it because I truly am oblivious to it. No, I'm aware of it, and I'm not addressing it because I choose not to. So with him, I think he's well aware of the speculation surrounding how he rose to the prominence that he did, purely because of where he sits within the context of the entertainment industry. This is all about the entertainment industry to me, because otherwise I agree with him. I do. But other people who are doing square business outside of those areas aren't being sleuthed on the internet, or people aren't necessarily thinking about what they got going on in weird contexts, whether they attended Diddy parties or not, who they're in emails with, or whose hands they're shaking, or whatever the case may be. So I think that this was not necessarily a redirect, because he did address the kids' questions, but I think that it was an intentional way to address those questions without getting to the meat of it, which is, this is stuff that is routinely said when it comes to people in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, and I personally think it. So the way that, and I agree with you, I do think this is a smart guy, and what he did there when he answered the question, he alluded to a moral stuff, and then he went down the trail of what moral meant in his. See, moral is a relative term. Everybody's got their own morals. So there's not a universal moral code out there. And there's not a moral code. His moral code doesn't necessarily align with mine or other people's or whatever. And so by him knowing that, if you adjust your own morals, you can do whatever you do righteously. And that can be evil in somebody else's eyes. So by him saying, it's about your morals. It's about your morals. So his morals in his eyes means he can do whatever he does to get to the top, so long as he gives back or have the platform to have the outreach that he has. All of these words. So he's selective in what he says. And you can tell the truth without saying anything, like how he did there. Because he did tell the truth. Based on his moral code, he ain't do nothing wrong. So y'all can call him evil based off your morals, but just because you're a billionaire, you can make it there and still have a moral compass, which I agree with. So Jay-Z does have a moral code. I just don't agree with it, which I'm entitled to, which I'm sure he said that I can. And I'm pretty sure why he'll tell me that I'm broke. But moral is that's a social construct. We want to talk about social constructs all the time. The word moral is a social construct, because what morals are we talking about? I mean, literally, you can go across the ocean and they've got different social norms. So therefore their morals would be different. I'm sure there's universal ones that are part of the Venn diagram, but nevertheless. So I say all that stuff to say is that, yeah, I agree with you. He addressed that boy's question and he answered it in a way where he used words that are pretty ambiguous, and intentionally, I would also add. And so, and he also did a lot of omitting, because like how you said, this is pretty much, I mean, we're really dealing with the realm of entertainment, because bruh, you're a rapper. And if it was, I guess there would always have to be the first rapper to get to the type of status that Jay-Z is. So he would be the first, but there aren't really many others. Okay. Jay-Z is a smart man, but he ain't that smart. I think what Jay-Z has done is that he always looked at himself as the people that he eventually rub elbows with now. He never really considered himself a rapper like that. I felt like he always thought higher of himself. He always thought that he was one of those people. And because he always looked at himself as one of those people, him and what those people do, he didn't think that was far-fetched. And he felt like he could be a part of it. And he'll play ball so long as he has the status that comes with it. And so I don't have anything to pin him down with. I don't have nothing. It's all speculation and stuff like that. But I would just say that, yeah, I agree with you. I think that the man's a smart man. And I think the way that he answered it was real smart. And for anybody else that's sitting there watching it, the people that would have taken the Jay-Z lunch instead of taking the money, those people would be like, oh, just listen to all of that game Jay-Z just done gave me there. It's all about your morals. See, you guys are worried about good or evil. It's like, nah, man, like think for yourself. And this guy here, man, he's a funny character. That's how I look at him. He's a funny character. And this whole GQ situation, positive PR spin thing that he's got going on right now is part of him being a funny guy to me. So I wasn't going for none of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he kind of sort of addressed those morals that you were alluding to when he talked about, he's not taken from anybody or step over anybody. I don't want to play the video, but he says he says something to the effect of my talent got me here, not me doing this or doing. So that's what he's talking about. And so to his point, whether he says those things or not, to anybody who believes that that's not, like, he's not going to change anyone's mind who believes that he got there nefariously. So he is right about that. You either believe that he's a part of the weirdo network or you don't. Him talking about the fact that he got there on his own merit and it wasn't really about stepping on people or taking from or robbing this or doing whatever. He's right in that you're going to believe whatever you want. And if you believe that he did in fact do those things, him saying that he didn't isn't going to change your mind. He isn't wrong about that. It's basically up to whether you want to continue to believe based upon your preconceived bias that people in his position in that particular industry by default are always up to some weird stuff. And a lot of people do think that. And so, it is what it is. First of all, I don't think he cares. And I think the only reason why he's doing this is because he announced those shows. And so whenever these people are doing anything, they come out of hiding and they start talking because they want to drum up buzz and get people to show up and buy tickets or buy the album or stream the album or whatever people do these days. But otherwise, I don't really think he cares. But at the same time, it is what it is, bro. You just kind of have to eat that if you're not going to more directly address whether your status is in fact at least somehow related to any of the speculation of your, less than humble activities. It is what it is. And, the only other thing that I'll say is, I fancy myself somebody who at some point could very well become a millionaire. Now, that can happen 20 years from now. It can happen 30 years from now. Who knows when it's going to happen? One of the reasons why I tend to lean on not believing a lot of these stories has nothing to do with the individuals, and it has more to do with myself. I've always shied away from automatically defaulting to believing a lot of the stuff that people say about these people, largely because I don't want to believe that my destiny is predetermined, in that if I come into a lot of money or if I self-actualize and become rich, maybe not necessarily to billionaire status, but maybe to millionaire status, that it was because I had to do weird things along the way to get there. I still, in my weird, naive mind, want to believe that I can aspire to that without doing weird stuff. And part of me being able to continue to hold on to that belief is by not automatically believing that other people who got there because they did weird stuff. So I don't want to take away from people who want to speculate as to whether people in these positions got to where they got to because they did weird stuff, Because for me, it's not about them. It's more so about myself and wanting to retain my own relative level of sanity when it comes to how far I believe I can achieve. Because I know I'm not going to do weird stuff. So if I can't achieve that level of success without doing weird stuff, well, then I might as well just give up now. And I don't want to give up. I refuse to believe in giving up. So it's a personal thing for me. I've always shied away from defaulting to the position that those things are happening. But I don't want to take away from any of the speculation because it's valid based upon people connecting the dots that they want to connect. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I do believe that money and success are amplifiers of a pre-existing character trait. I don't think that they formulate them. So when people get to that particular position and they start wilding out, it's because they would have wilded out. It's because they would have wilded out whether they had the money or not. I don't think the money created the tendency for them to wild out. I think that it was already going to happen in the first place.
Yeah, and that's fair, bro. And no, you know, there's plenty of millionaires that are chilling, bro. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that, as you mentioned, in the entertainment industry, there's a hierarchy and a structure going on where there's literally fraternal orders going on, and there's a hierarchy. So that's structured on weirdness. So that's why it's like, you know, that's not you having your own company over here and, you know, whatever. So regular millionaire type of stuff, whatever, you know, regular millionaire, I don't even know regular millionaire rapper, you know, because it's weird in that industry. But, you know, I hear your point when it comes to that, and I wouldn't say that. I think there's a lot of people with millions of dollars just chilling, bro, and they never attended no parties like that, you know. But, you know, but once you get into that class where you're over here, you got this at the Super Bowl, you got that over there, you done did something. I don't know what it was, bro, but you done did something, because they have to be able to trust you. And those initiations are just to be able to trust you, bro.
Well, maybe not so much that stuff. I'm talking more so about taking advantage of people, stepping over people,
That's
you know,
basic, bro.
robbing people of their opportunities, stealing, cheating, lying, unethical. I'm talking about lack of ethics more so than, you know, sacrificing your unborn child or any of this other stuff that people like to get into conspiratorially. I'm talking more so about non-square business, because that's part of it too. It's not just about weird parties. It's not just about any of that weird industry stuff. It's also about the dealings of how you got to where you got to. Taking advantage of people, stealing from people, robbing from people, stepping on toes, lying, otherwise being unethical. And I rebuke that as well, because, you know, and again, I don't want to take away from anybody who does want to speculate about these people, because, yeah, it's the entertainment industry. But there tends to be this casting of a wide net with a lot of people who just kind of generalize the conversation based upon the attainment of success in general, not just with the entertainment industry. And so I kind of just want to rebuke that part of it, because the whole thing is, if you're telling me that my success or lack thereof is predetermined based upon how much I'm willing to be a scumbag, and I know internally that I am not a scumbag, then I have to go against that grain, because I refuse to accept it, because I have to believe that at some point I can be successful. You understand where I'm coming from? So that's my whole thing with that. But when it comes to the whole entertainment industry stuff, I get it, man. It is what it is. So, you know, he can refute that stuff all he wants to and engage in his mental gymnastics. But unless he's willing to go on the record talking specifically about what people are speculating, everything else is just a semantic conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, and he can have it, and everybody else that he rubs around with, literally and figuratively, they can have it too. I don't personally care. It's a thing. I just like to identify who I'm dealing with, and Jay-Z is not a person I would trust, not one bit. And it's not that I don't trust him because I know him personally. I've seen enough. The smoke says that you're not trustworthy. The same stuff that he said that he wouldn't step on, whatever, I would beg to differ, you know, and because again, your morals or whatever, so that means you can redefine what stepping on somebody actually means. You see what I'm saying? When you're dealing with sociopaths, they don't really feel like they're doing a bad thing. So there's a lot of the stuff they feel like they're doing is noble. So that's what I'm saying. Like when you're dealing with these semantic conversations where you can play with definitions, you don't trust those people. I know exactly what you're talking about. And what I'm trying to tell you is I think he was having a different conversation while having that same one, you know, and, you know, double entendre, man. So, hey, I can go on forever with this dude, but yeah, I hear your point, bro. But I would tell you that there's ethical millionaires absolutely chilling ethically on an island, on an ethical island, just relaxing, man. So I wouldn't worry about that, bro. That's out there. So
yeah, it's not. I wouldn't call it a worry. It's more so just you know, whether it's my family who I'm talking to or other people who I know, when they talk about crappy rich people, they're not talking about crappy rich people who are entertainers. They're talking about their belief in rich people messing stuff up for everybody. It ain't just about the entertainment industry. Yeah, so that's my whole thing. I go against that because I don't believe it. Because listen, don't try to reconcile the shortcomings in your life by blaming rich people for your problems. Like, you know, keep it at the entertainment industry, but that's what a lot of people like to do. Everything is rich people's fault. So, you know, that's something that people are going to have to work out for themselves, because chances are you didn't get to where you would like to be because of you, not because of rich people, quote unquote rich people.
That's a hot take there.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Hey, man.
Oh, wait, no. First of all, we do got that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And now we move on to an interesting story involving a lawsuit settlement in which the defendants involved, Facebook and Meta, are going to have to pay out $6 million for the resolution in a case where it involves, like, you know, social media addiction, and Meta and YouTube are being held, I don't know if responsible is the right word, but they're specifically a part of this situation. And they're going to appeal it because they're going to deny any wrongdoing, because, you know, how is this any of our fault? But they have been ordered to pay $6 million as part of a social media lawsuit. And, you know, the idea behind it is, you know, failure to make it clear how addictive social media can be. So this says Meta and YouTube ordered to pay $6 million in social media addiction lawsuit. A Los Angeles jury has ordered both Meta and YouTube to pay a total of $6 million in a social media addiction lawsuit. The jury found the platforms negligent in their designs and in how they engage their users. The verdict, widely seen as a potential legal turning point in how giants like Meta and YouTube are held accountable, stemmed from a case brought to light by a 20-year-old plaintiff. The claims were that her early use of both Instagram and YouTube contributed to her compulsive behavior and long-term mental health battles. The trial centered on allegations that the platform design, including its algorithmic recommendations that encourage prolonged use, played a significant role in the plaintiff's addiction. According to Reuters, the plaintiff began using YouTube at around the age of 6 and Instagram by age 9. That is insane. The jury in this case found Meta liable for nearly 70% of the damages and YouTube responsible for the remaining percentage. Legal experts see this case as a bellwether trial, meaning that it could influence hundreds, if not thousands, of others to follow suit. Lawsuits around the globe could start popping up, alleging that the platforms did not warn of the potential harms tied to their usage. Both Meta and Google have denied any wrongdoing in this case and have stated that they plan to appeal the ruling. Company statements reported by several different news outlets highlight that the verdict misunderstands the nature of their services. Defense attorneys noted that platforms such as these are designed with safety measures and users are responsible for their usage patterns. While Meta and YouTube are likely to appeal this jury decision, those following the case claim that this could open the door to more legal challenges and shift how courts view platform design liability as a whole. So, what do you make of this, man? So Meta is mostly responsible, and then YouTube is responsible for the rest of it. Total $6 million for this individual who's a 20-year-old plaintiff who's been using YouTube since they were 6 years old, which I think is crazy. But yeah, what do you think, bro?
I don't know how they were able to prove this in court. I'm sure they had their string of evidence, and I'm pretty sure this was an extreme case, in the sense that, they were able to prove this in the courts. But yeah, I would imagine that they appeal this, because there's going to be a lot of people out there claiming damages. I mean, there's these apps alone, by the two of them, I mean, billions of users. So for them to try to address this financially or to get sued or whatever, class actioned, it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. But I really think that money's going to talk here, and they're going to find a way to get a ruling that ensures that they don't have to keep paying whenever somebody wants to claim this. So you're dealing with two of the bigger boys out there in the swimming pool. So they've got the lawyers and the know-how to fix this. This little measly $6 million is actually $1 billion, is billions of dollars of loss if they lose this. So I think they know what's really at stake here, and they're not going to take this L. It sounds good. It sounds like a win for the little guys, but I personally don't think they're going to take this lightly, and they're going to push back and eventually get a settlement and a ruling and a decision to where this can't be brought up later. Because people at this point, people can start hollering about why they committed certain crimes, why they did X, Y, or Z. And it's because I was addicted to Meta. I was watching all those YouTube videos on carjackings. I just had to steal somebody's car. I had to put it to the test. Where does it end with this? I feel like Jay-Z. Is it 900,000? Is it where does it end? Because at this point, if you want to blame Meta for addiction, why stop there? Why not blame the ID network, for all the murder stuff that they show? You're telling me that there's people out there that haven't tried to unalive somebody because they've watched enough of these TV shows to feel like they can actually get away with it? Let's blame them for that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm surprised this lady won. I figured that the money would have talked initially, but me personally, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think this is a small victory for this young lady, but with the appeal, who knows what that number is going to look like? They might have to settle for something later. But me personally, I don't think this is going to get any bigger than this. I don't think they can allow that. So I hope I'm wrong, but money talks, and they got a lot of it. But what are your thoughts, man, on the YouTube and Meta lawsuit? This person claiming that they fell, addicted to it. Therefore, they got $6 million. What are your thoughts, man?
I agree with you. I don't think it's going to go very far. I'm hearing an echo.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll mute.
So I agree with you. I don't think it's going to go very far, but I think it should. And I think that we've talked about this before. It's probably going to take another 15, 20 years or so. It's probably going to take another generation. It's probably going to take the first generation of humans who were born with social media already in existence to observe their behavior from that point up until the point where their brains are fully developed. And then there's it's going to have to be some empirical data captured on various case studies behaviorally and how that could potentially be linked to social media usage. And that data is going to need to be actually quantified in terms of like academic literature before you can get to the point where it can be used as a legitimate claim that somebody did something because they use social media too much or they were too addictive. But I do think that that day will come. I just don't think it's here yet. I don't think we've gotten to that point, but we should be. We should be at that point, because I personally think that social media is a drug. I think it's a drug that should have a warning label, no different than alcohol, no different than cigarettes, no different than gambling. You know, gambling has the disclaimer: gambling problem, call 5555555. You know what I'm saying? Like alcohol has the BAC. If your blood alcohol content is above 0.08, you drink too much, they take you to jail, you get a DUI. Like there's going to need to be some measurement for what constitutes social media addiction. But I do believe that there is a such thing, and until the research is done, we're gonna continue to live in this wild, deregulated world where they get to just operate with impunity and make all the money off the top without being held accountable for the direct impact on human behavior that it has, because it certainly does have that. We just don't know how to clearly express it yet because it hasn't been researched for long enough. I think we forget that this stuff has basically only been around at this point for 20 years. You know, Facebook was what, 2004? You know, that was 22 years ago. It hasn't really been that long. So the vast majority of people were still born before this stuff existed. Like I said, I think it's going to take the humans who were born with this stuff already around and the observance of their behavior over time in order to be able to effectively classify the long-term impact of extended usage over time. But until we get to that point, it will remain deregulated. And I do think that this, like $6 million to these individuals, is a rounding error. It's a very inconsequential amount of money. But of course, fighting it means much more than that, because if you just let this stand, you do open up the floodgates for more people to say, I did this because I'm on YouTube too much. And of course, you can't have that, because then that $6 million becomes $300 million. We're not going to deal with that. But I do believe over time, the research will be done to show categorically what the long-term impacts of this are, because it is having that. And it does need to happen, because right now, this level of deregulation is a bit too much. So after a while, there's going to need to be a disclaimer. When you flip open Instagram, when you flip open YouTube, when you flip open Meta, just like there is a disclaimer on having a gambling addiction, you know, hey, listen, it's up to your discretion. You can continue to be on our apps if you want, but just understand that it could cause a problem. And if you do have that problem, call this number, because at that point, then we won't be held accountable. But right now, there's no checks and balances because we don't know the extent to the damage that it does, but it does do some damage. We'll just have to continue to wait and see what that damage is.
Yeah. And I think that I don't know, man. Well, I don't know. I don't know how this even made it to court. So the fact that they even won is blowing my mind.
If I have to guess, a lot of there's probably some disclosure part of this situation which prohibits the media from being able to disclose all the details. There's stuff that we don't know. It's got to be, because I agree with you. Just reading this at face value, I can't imagine how it even got this far to where there's even a settlement in the first place. So there's probably some aspect of this that's non-disclosure like, where we don't know all the requisite details.
Yeah, I mean, there's people addicted to McDonald's and they got health issues now.
Yeah, but
McDonald's?
Yeah, you can't though, because the nutrition facts are on the box. So that's the thing. Like but that's it. That's what it is. Like, you cannot the answer to your question is you cannot sue McDonald's, because McDonald's can say the nutrition facts are on the packaging. You electing to continue to eat this is your own responsibility. And the gray area with social media is there's no equivalent of the nutrition facts on the box.
Okay,
with
about
DraftKings and the rest of these sports books, there is an equivalent to the nutrition facts on the box, which is the gambling addiction disclaimer. Is it all that influential or impactful? You can say it's not, but that's the only check and balance that they need to be able to cross in order to remove themselves from any sort of liability.
Can I sue HBO?
Yeah, no, you can't. Because before a show or a movie comes on, they tell you violence, sexually explicit content.
I'm addicted to watching it.
Huh?
But I'm addicted to just watching it.
They're removed from liability because they're telling you up front, this TV show has nudity. So regardless of your addiction, we're telling you what you're in for. You continuing to watch it is no longer our responsibility.
Yeah, that's wild because now, and I hear what you're saying, because some of these apps have like activity monitors, like, hey, for your health, for your, I don't know if this is retroactive stuff that they launched or whatever, like, hey, you've been on TikTok for 5 hours this week. It's like, God dang.
But is TikTok telling you that, or is Apple telling you that?
TikTok.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. So, but that's TikTok. They ain't get sued. So I don't know if it's stuff like that these platforms were missing, where they're intentionally doing. Because I've heard, I don't know if it was this, but I don't know if it was talking about their shorts, or there's something where there was. I guess the article mentioned the algorithm, where it was basically done in a way to keep them clicking. Which, isn't that what every app does? So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. There definitely has to be, like you said, some NDA type stuff where they have to talk about it ambiguously, because I don't think this is done in court. So it was like, y'all can talk about it, but y'all can only talk about this much of it. So that's probably where we're at. That's probably why it sounds a little out there. And we don't even know as much as, what was this lady's symptoms for her level of addiction. So I don't know, because whatever she got, I know that there's somebody right now, you know what I'm saying, at the local Starbucks, sitting down in the lounge, that has that same issue right now, which is why they're at Starbucks at this time of night drinking coffee. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know, man. So it seems a little far-fetched to me, but yeah, I don't think they're going to take a L on this. They're going to come with the big boys next time, if they didn't already the first time, to get this squashed, because and whatever settlement they come out with, because even though I know they got the money to pay class action, they don't even want to pay that.
No.
So yeah, they're going to try to nip this right here. So
yeah, no, they don't want to pay that, because you're opening up Pandora's box, because then somebody's going to follow behind them and say, I'm addicted too, pay me. Hey man,
look, you never know, baby. I'm probably addicted over here.
Hey man, you can't, like, if you walk into a supermarket and they have the little that yellow plastic thing on the ground that says slippery caution, and you slip, you can't sue the store. The thing was there, you slipped. Did you read it or not? So like, it's that kind of stuff. And right now, social media is so utterly deregulated right now. Like, it is what it is when it comes to like how liable they are for certain unintended consequences in society. But what continues to amaze me is how it continues to be this deregulated zone where they're basically just able to just do whatever they want. Like social media in general, YouTube, Meta, whatever, they can just do whatever they want and ask for apologies later, because there's no structure around what can and cannot happen with these apps right now. When it comes to this technology stuff, man, it's such a weird deregulated space. It really is. And that continues to astound me. But at the same time, it doesn't, because, it's such a new thing, and it's so lucrative that, being slow to impose restrictions is good for business, I guess. And I don't say that as a good thing. I just say it matter of factly. The less restrictions that it has, the more money it can continue to make, which is what a lot of the vested, interested parties want. So I guess I'm astounded, but not astounded at the same time. But, yeah, until those kind of guardrails go around it, people continue. People can do this stuff, but that's what's going to need to happen. That's what's going to need to happen. Like if DraftKings didn't have their gambling problem disclaimers, then even though it's your own fault for gambling all your money away, you could sue them for that and blame them for the fact that they kept feeding you prop bets that you didn't necessarily want to take, but you felt compelled to do so because you couldn't control yourself.
I think they're actually facing one just like that, actually. I think so. Like, I gotta look into it, but I think DraftKings and FanDuel have something just like that, where they were saying that people were getting addicted to placing those in-game prop bets and how the app was set up or whatever. Like, I think they're going through that right now. So, but yeah, I guess the FCC deals with television, which is why we haven't seen a television case, because I'm sure the FCC has the appropriate guidelines based on things like that to make sure that it's not addictive.
They got it, but no, it's not making sure that it's not addictive. It's making sure that you're covered from liability. It's not about whether it's addictive or not. We know it's addictive. Like, the cat's out of the bag on the addictiveness. It's about, what do we need to put in place to ensure we can remove ourselves from liability? That's the yellow plastic slippery when wet sign. That's the disclaimer.
You nailed it, bro. This is a liability. You nailed it, bro. This is a regulation liability case.
Yeah.
This is small fry, $6 million. But what's going to come out on the back end of this is legal, ironclad, because there isn't anything on it yet. This is cutting edge stuff. So yeah, they're going to be on the front. So they'll be on the front lines of regulating or coming up with the algorithm to say that, hey, yes, it is addictive content, but we did this, and a regulation body type, whatever, or we agreed to do this. That's what's going to come out on the back end of this, some fancy FCC type things for social media. And but yeah, this is an interesting case, and I never really thought of that, bro, of other areas going, hey, we don't want to be, we have this in place not to be held liable for selling you drugs.
Yes, yeah.
Literally. McDonald's is drugs. There's no other way to explain that line. That's dope. It has to be.
Bro, all of this stuff is drugs, man. But social media is drugs. Social media is a narcotic. I firmly believe that. Alcohol, we already know, the book is out on that one. Nicotine, people just associate drugs with, cocaine and heroin. No, man, like, this stuff is drugs too. Social media is a drug. Instagram is a drug. Instagram is probably the greatest. If I were to personify these various apps, like, Instagram is El Chapo to me. Like, just the biggest and the baddest to ever do it. Like, Instagram is El Chapo, and everybody else is, you can compare whoever you want, but the biggest kingpin that you can think of and whoever existed in the game, that's Instagram. Mm-hmm. Instagram fundamentally changed human behavior. I firmly believe that. I truly believe that. The proof of that won't come for another 30, 40, 50 years probably, but I firmly believe that.
TikTok is on the way. TikTok's level of influence on these young people, bro, it's having the same level, if not more dangerous effect, on these tablet babies.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna talk about Fruit Love Island later. Okay, like that is demonic. All right, so we're gonna talk about that later. So it's only evolving, bro. It's only evolving.
That's right. Yeah. Stay tuned, everybody. And now for an update on Tusi. We talked about Tusi before. We talked about Tusi when there was some fallout between him and Syracuse University, because the coach claimed that they cut him to make room on the roster for other players. Tusi went on live and said the coach is lying and that he voluntarily left the program because he wanted to go to LSU. And so there never was a resolution to that. So it basically just amounted to a he said, she said. But this young man himself, Tusi, is going to play at LSU, and he is going to be a freshman wide receiver on the LSU roster coming up this season.
Insane.
Tusi is taking an unconventional path from the music charts to the gridiron, officially joining the LSU Tigers football program as a freshman wide receiver. The 26-year-old artist, born Najor Granger, is now listed on LSU's 2026 roster ahead of spring practices and unexpected development in a sport where recruiting surprises are increasingly rare. Known for hits like Favorite Song, Granger is stepping away from his multi-platinum music career to pursue Division I football. His journey to Baton Rouge has been anything but typical. In December, Tusi made headlines after announcing a commitment to Syracuse, despite having no college football experience. Just weeks later, he instead enrolled at LSU, where he is now part of a rapidly reshaped roster under head coach Lane Kiffin. So here's a TikTok that he posted of him running drills.
Yeah, nice routes, man. Real crispy, bro.
Yeah. Not too bad at all. I'm chasing history, he wrote at the time, sharing footage of himself working out at NC State. Next year, I'm going to be on somebody's team, mark my words. So that was here practicing in the LSU training facility. So, yeah, man, it looks like this guy's on the roster. Now, this is very, very early on, and LSU is very, very up there in terms of college football blue bloods. So this by no means has any implications on him having a final roster spot, I would say. But be that as it may, he's on the team, man. So what do you make of that?
All right, so let me address the 2C angle. Now, if somebody gave me a shot to play college basketball when I was 26 years old, because of my status, I might have taken that. I'm not gonna say a lot of you, bro. I might have taken that because I like playing basketball, man. And I thought I was good enough to play at least Division II. Right. So if I can parlay that into some playing time, I would have did that. I ain't gonna lie. So what this young man has done, which other people either chose to not do or whatever, he decided to parlay his music career into football, which is something that he was into, liked, or whatever, played, I guess, in high school or whatever. So that part of it, I'm not mad at that part of it. But to look at this exercise as more than a publicity stunt on both sides, I think that's it's a publicity stunt. I felt like Syracuse signed up for the publicity. This actually makes the 2C side of the story from that first discussion seem valid. I thought he was just going to LSU. I would have chosen LSU over Syracuse too. For the publicity, for the clout, like it's LSU. So it sounds like you don't get kicked out of Syracuse to go to LSU. So I think I pretty much agree with this guy where he was saying like, look, bro, I chose to leave, and I think both sides were playing. You're dealing with Fran Brown, which is at Syracuse, and we've already had our discussion there about that. And now we're dealing with Lane Kiffin, who's just the white version of Fran Brown. Okay, so he's about publicity. He's about making the big splash. And I'm pretty sure, look, I saw Lane Kiffin walk somewhere with big old iced out chains on with Boosie last month. Okay, so he walking around. Lane Kiffin's walking around Louisiana with Lil Boosie with iced out chains on and stuff. This is where Lane Kiffin is at. This is what he thinks about LSU. Okay, so why not hire Tusi? Why not bring this in? It's great for social media. It'll be great for recruits. This is Lane Kiffin's fault. So this is the publicity stunt aspect of it. So I guess I can't be mad at that. But I personally don't think it's a good look to be playing publicity games, in college sports. Like, I don't know. I personally don't think it's a good look, especially if you're wasting a scholarship position for this. But then again, I don't know, man. I'm not making the big bucks like these guys are. So apparently they see, the bigger picture here, and having Tusi on your roster, because honestly, outside of the publicity, why else have him? Suit up, play, film stuff in your facility, if it wasn't for NIL recruiting and stuff like that down the line later. I think that's what this is all about. But hey, if this guy gets to kill two birds with one stone, that Tusi guy living out some type of dream and make a bag on the back end, why not, bro? But what are your thoughts, man, on Tusi actually dressing up in practice uni and playing? Possibly playing for LSU. What are your thoughts, man?
Bro, come on now. Like, let's be consistent, because we've had plenty of conversations on the channel, and we're talking about the gambling stuff and all of that. And you have said, like, hey, look, man, I look at this stuff now as WWE.
It is WWE.
Yeah. Right. So when you say you don't really like the idea of a roster spot being given in college football based upon publicity, that is what WWE is.
That's fair, yeah.
So if you're talking about this stuff is now WWE and it ceased to be authentic,
look, spirit of college football. Leave my college football out of it.
Oh, because you don't get, cause like I feel the same way. Like, it's an affront to my traditional sensibilities. But hey, if it's WWE, then this, I can't really, look, I'm trying to hold on to the sanctity. I've already said I believe in the preservation of sanctity. That's why when we talk about these NBA conversations or these NFL conversations, I don't be wanting to agree with you when it comes to the whole the setup stuff and the entertainment WWE circus stuff. I don't want to agree with you, because I want to continue to hold on to the idea that there's still some part of this that's still legitimate sports competition. Mm-hmm. But you be telling me, hey, bro, listen, man, this stuff is WWE.
It is, dog.
Oh, I'm listening to you now. So if I'm gonna be listening to you now, then he's on the roster, and it is publicity. And even though it's college football and it is LSU, so what? Because now they're a part of the WWE college football train too. So it is what it is, man. Either we're gonna roll with this stuff being WWE, or we're gonna try and hold on to the tradition.
Hey, listen, college football got its messy stuff now. I choose to ignore some of it. Some of it I go, hey, whatever. But I still feel like college football is as regulated as the NCAA is itself. So I think that there is some shenanigans going on, but it's not a complete shenanigans show, because there's no complete continuity, not like the NBA, not like the NFL, not like the NHL, where it's a real committee, like it's a real leaderboard. It's only the same owners that's been, I feel like that's a real good old boys club. I feel like with college, it's so unregulated itself that there was never really enough continuity to really stage and get weird. But I think they're moving towards that same level of real hardcore theater. I'm not prepared for that, but I really feel like they're getting closer to it. And so seeing these types of stories might become more and more, frequent.
And I think the lack of regulation means that there's even more shenanigans going on.
Oh, of course you would say that. Of course you would say that. Hey, who knows, man? I don't like it, though. I don't like it.
Man, listen, these guys are, first of all, they don't even recruit at the college level anymore. Like,
high school?
High school. Yeah, so like they don't like that is there's a lot of like D1 programs where the head coach and the program itself, they don't even do high school recruiting. They're just running around saying how much you need, how much you want to get paid.
Yep.
So it's already there, bro. So my whole thing with this is I believe everything that you're saying in terms of it being a publicity thing. He is probably an influencer roster. Like I would not be surprised. Now I'm making this out of my ass.
No,
right?
that's exactly
but even though I'm making this up, I would not be shocked one bit if a lot of these top tier programs literally had a roster spot designated for an influencer.
No, that's honestly, bro, that's cutting edge. You might be one of the first people to say this. I'm not joking, bro, but that's exactly what this is. And this might be a blueprint for future influencer roster spots going on for basketball and football.
And I don't mean unofficial. I mean officially. I mean there's going to be officially within the confines of the rules of the sport. Okay, every roster has depending on budgets, because different programs can have different budgets, blah blah blah. Let's just take the top team. Let's just take teams like Ohio State, LSU, you know what I'm saying, Texas, people like this. Those programs, Michigan, I would not be surprised if due to the sizable budgets that they have at their disposal for things like NIL and the transfer portal, that they have a roster spot allotment of 2 for an influencer. Official designation, influencer roster spots, because all of this stuff is headed into entertainment, fanfare, social media algorithm. Like just as much as these programs want to win, they also want to be in the algorithm at all times because that's the direction that the world is moving in.
That's disgusting, bro.
So I firmly believe that that is a definite possibility. I'm not saying that it exists. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, right now it's at least one of those shadow things that are going on. So it's not going to be like an official designation, but I'm pretty sure this Tusi thing is going to set the stage for teams that are doing it. Like, so Notre Dame's going to have their new Rudy, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That feel good story from this guy that was a walk on. Like they're going to start playing these
games. And they're all there and like the social media influencer roster spot is scholarship exempt or anything that has budget / salary cap implications, because this stuff is just, that's why I'm riding with you, bro. You did this to me. You did this to me. I was sitting there holding on to dear life, saying, no, it's still about sport. It's still about sport competition. The outcomes aren't predetermined. They're not cheating, blah, blah, blah. So you broke me down. So now I'm sitting here and it's all WWE circus theater. So they're going to start doing it. And so I think that this is a possibility. And so the influencer roster position is like anything that is budgetary or salary cap exempt is going to fall under this umbrella, so that you can have this person on the roster spot, but they're not occupying any of your scholarship money, or they're not occupying any of your NIL budget. You can just pay them up front, but it doesn't factor into the allotted amount of NIL money that you have to pay everybody else on the team. Weird stuff like that, so that this person can bring on their immense social media online following to bring more notoriety to the program. Circus, WWE.
This is bogus, bro. But you know, like there was like Kodak had a little thing going on with FAU. I ain't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like he was trying to dress and trying to play. He would just come, pregame or something like that, talk in the locker room, wear the jersey, run out on the field, photo op type thing. I didn't have a problem with that. Do that. But this whole horse and pony of him wearing a jersey, doing drills, catching the ball with one hand, bro, I ain't mad at you, bro. Like I said, I had to start this off by saying I am not mad at him for doing this, but don't like, I just want football, bro.
And you'll get it. Don't worry, you'll get it.
Yeah, I'll get that and then
Yeah,
some.
you gonna get it. And look, for all we know, even though it's improbable, maybe he actually ends up on the field playing in games.
He's gonna get a snap.
Yeah. Well, he'll play against Louisiana Monroe or somebody like this. Yeah, for sure. So it is what it is, man. But I agree with you. I just think this is the direction that this stuff is moving to. So the sanctity that you're holding on to, sir, go ahead and bury it. That's what you told me to do with my NBA. You said, hey, man, it's circus, it's WWE. So I'm telling you the same thing. It is what it is. The only thing that I will say about this is, I have my misgivings with like the music industry right now, especially hip hop music. I feel like societally it does more harm than good. And so if him doing this means that he's contributing less to the fabric of that, then I feel like that's a net positive. Because I don't know too much about his music, but I do know that he wasn't really on the murder, death, kill tip. He was more on the YOLO, crash out, take whatever and smash wherever you want tip with his own music. But even that has its own problems. So if him doing this LSU thing means he's not in the studio making more of that poison, then that's fine. But I'm telling you right now, bro, this is just more of a continuation of all of the stuff that you've been telling me about, with it now being performance theater and less about actually playing sports.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I was treating this as a one-off, and hopefully this stays as a one-off thing. But I don't want to see influencer college football stuff. The word influencer already makes me nauseous. So don't bring that over to my college football stuff. So hey, whatever, Tusi, man. Hope you live out your dreams. Hope you enjoy all of this little stuff. Because hey, man, when I was 26, bro, if you told me I can get a scholarship to go play ball somewhere, I would have did it. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't mad at that. I just don't want that. I just don't want the garbage that come with this on the back end, but it seems like it's inevitable. So it is what it is, bro.
Hey, man, it is what it is. That's right.
Damn. Thanks for ruining my weekend, bro. I really thought I was like, hey, this is just one off. Nah, this is a microcosm of the bleed over. Well played, sir.
That's right. That is right. Shout out to Tusi, man. Good luck, sir. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday afternoons.
Yeah.
We move on to Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who does not believe that there is a such thing as the greatest player of all time. Speaking in an interview with Gayle King, she asked him about this whole GOAT thing and is there a greatest player ever? And Jordan is currently on the tip in which he just doesn't believe that there is a such thing. He instead believes that each generation paves the way for the next one, so on and so forth. So they reference an interview that he did a while back on NBC with Mike Tirico, in which he talks about the impossibility inherent in comparing one generation to the next, and how we'll never really know who's better between him and people like Kobe and LeBron, because he never got to play against them in his prime, just like he never got to play against people like Oscar Robertson when they were in their prime. So this says, Michael Jordan argued there's no such thing as a GOAT in basketball. We progress the game. Michael Jordan argues there's no such thing as a GOAT, again driving home his view that all greats are instead part of a larger shared legacy. In a new interview with Gayle King for CBS Sunday Morning, Jordan, who these days is enjoying the highest echelon of NASCAR success as a co-owner of the 23XI racing team, was asked if there's room for more than one GOAT in the sport of basketball. As Jordan sees it, despite himself still being considered by many fans to be the best to ever do it, the GOAT conversation is a non-starter. There's no such thing as a GOAT, not to me. It's only because I think we can learn from other athletes. We progress the game. To say that one is better than the other is not really right. This is in line with remarks Jordan made on the topic in a segment for NBC's Insights to Excellence earlier this month. As he explained, the never-ending GOAT debate, in his opinion, leads to animosity among players and fans. Elsewhere in the new Gayle King interview, Jordan asserted that he remains a very competitive person in all aspects of his life, even when it comes to seemingly mundane tasks like getting dressed in the morning. I think I'm cursed, he said. I'm cursed with this competitive gene. So here's Jordan talking about this whole there is no one GOAT thing in the aforementioned NBC interview from a while back. Let's see, I might have to actually click the whole tic tac thing. Pause button. All right, so let's go ahead and get this queued up. Here's Jordan answering Mike Tirico's question about this whole GOAT situation.
One thing that's never changed with sports fans is the debate about the GOAT. Who's the greatest of all time? So it's rare that I get a chance to sit down with one of the guys who's debated about to talk about the conversation of that term, the GOAT.
Whole GOAT term is never going to be something that I ever will get high or low about. You know, it just doesn't exist with me. I never played against Oscar Roberts or Jerry West. Would have loved to. Absolutely love to. Just as competitive as I am. You know, and I actually learned from them, you know, and we, you know, paved the road to the Kobe's and the LeBrons, right? You know, and to me, it's the beauty of the game of basketball that a player after a previous player has evolved the game further. But don't then, in essence, this is where I look at it, you know, don't then now use that against the player that actually taught you the game or that you learned from. And that's why I have a tough time. And, you know, look, I would love to have played against LeBron and, you know, Kobe in my prime. You know, I would love to have played, you know, against those guys. But we'll never be able to know that. Part of the marketing, part of the hype, part of the things that tries to elevate one generation above the other, I think it creates animosity. I have no animosity against today's players, but you do have certain players that do have animosity because of the forgottenness of what their contribution has been to the game of basketball. It is what it is. It is a empty comparison. It's a absolutely never find that the true answer to that question.
It's a circular conversation.
It's just going to keep
You're
going.
never gonna get
and
a
I
right
understand.
answer.
But
it's great to talk about.
100% to talk about and envision. Look, I think LeBron has had an unbelievable career, and I admire him for what he's done. You know, and Kobe as well as KD and all these guys who have played in this era. I think they've elevated the game of basketball tremendously. I just don't agree when you start, you know, trying to put one above the other. It doesn't work. It will never know. It creates more of a problem from, you know, not for me. I've never given it credence. But, you know, for other players who look for their existence within the generation of basketball, and we should always honor that. We should always preserve that. We should always, you know, reward that they paved the road for a lot of generations after that. And by doing that, you somewhat, I mean, Jabbar, I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, I mean, Bill Russell had 11 championships. Yeah. I mean, how do you just push them in the corner and say, oh, we ain't gonna think about you. You know, we forgot about you. You know, that to me is where I get lost.
One thing that's
all right. So what did you think about what Jordan had to say there about this whole GOAT stuff?
You know, at some point, you know, I really wish, you know, whatever Jordan says about these things puts it to rest, you know, these conversations. But unfortunately, because I'm with Mike, you know, I find it useless. But it has become a part of enjoying sports. You know, for the, you know, the media, I would say, is the one that drove this conversation, and it has seeped into the fabric of everyday basketball fans, you know, and it has really gotten to the point to where it's the only thing they talk about with basketball. People talk about the GOAT debate more than they talk about actual basketball now. And that's a problem. And I'm with him. Never really sliced it that way, but I get where he's coming from, where it says that, hey man, we progressed the game. because they did. His generation progressed the game, and the guys that came after him progressed the game further. And it's not looked or treated that way, you know, from this argument perspective. It's since these guys progress, you know, they'll crap all over the guys that they learn from, which I kind of saw it that way, but that's a simpler way to put it of, hey man, just respect the people that came before you. Let them be the class that they were in. And yeah, you know, if what's his name? What's that boy that they love talking about from back in the day? I don't know if it was Archibald or one of those guys. You know, if they're dribbling between their legs, I mean, the whole stadium would lose their brains. Everybody head would explode if they saw somebody do a move that somebody that did an and one. I mean, people would call it witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? If some of the moves that people are doing now were done in the 60s or 70s. So yeah, it's a different game. These guys are doing more stuff, but you know, just appreciate that era for what it was in that era. You know, it was like, okay, bro, you know, those are PS1 graphics. Okay, you know, PS5 got cleaner stuff, bro. That don't mean it's a better game, you know. And it's like, and you can give somebody that's from this generation that only knows PS5, give them a PS1 and have them play that game. They're like, the graphics is cheesy. This is lame. It's like, damn, bro, you don't understand the nuance of this. Yeah, but you know, the map ain't that big. Blah, blah, blah. They have all these excuses. But can you really compare those games? And what impact did that game have when it came out in whatever? So I think people just need to appreciate where they're at, where their feet are at, have gratitude for what they're currently watching or experiencing right now. And just because whatever is going on right now may seem better than what happened in the past, that doesn't naturally make it better. So, and we had to have these conversations, you know, with our parents, man, because we sitting here listening to these songs, these noise pollution rap songs. And they sitting there trying to tell me about Marvin Gaye and the Gap Band. I ain't trying to hear about none of that. You know what I'm saying? Cause right now, okay, this No Limit is going hard. My dad was like, make him say what? What is he talking about? Hey man, you couldn't tell me it didn't slap. So yeah, man, just respect the eras for where they're at, man. I was already in that boat. Because we saw what was going on in the 90s, and we damn sure saw what was going on in the early 2000s and what's going on now. So we saw these different generations at their primes. And I think we have that versatility to respect each era for what they were. And I think that, you know, everybody else that's having this GOAT debate need to have the same level of respect and let each class be whatever class they were in. But what are your thoughts, man, on what Michael Jordan had to say about this GOAT debate, basically saying that, hey, man, you know, there is no GOAT. What are your thoughts, bro?
Okay, so first off, let me say, I believe that he believes he's the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
So I think that what he said is fine, but I think in his own mind, he believes he's the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
I think in his mind, he believes he's better than everybody who is typically referred to as around him or in his same stratosphere, whether that's LeBron or Kareem or Kobe or whoever, Magic Johnson. He believes he's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
Now, again, and this kind of harkens back to the J.Cole conversation we had earlier. I don't mind him feeling that way. Like, to me, that's what competition is about. I don't mind him feeling that way. It's not his responsibility to try to convince the rest of us that his opinion of himself is correct. Like, if that is his opinion of himself, then so be it. That's fine. But I do believe he believes that about himself.
Yeah.
But in terms of answering the question judiciously, I agree with what he said. And I used to be, you know, in my younger days, I used to devote a lot of emotional bandwidth to like this type of thing. For me, it was like my thing was like Kobe. I didn't really care too much about Jordan or whatever. My whole thing was I was so emotionally invested in the idea that right after Jordan, Kobe was right there, like the second greatest player ever. And I would argue with people so much. I would develop my use cases. I would develop my debating strategy. I would outline all of the specific points that I wanted to make. And I would go through so much mental hurdles and hoops and gymnastics because I was so emotionally vested. I was so emotionally invested, not in my own belief of where I thought he was, but in other people agreeing with that belief. And thank God I grew out of that because I realized that it's an exercise in futility. It is so not worth the emotional anguish that one puts themselves through being overly preoccupied with these ridiculous arbitrary conversations about greatest ever or who's better than who, because it's all based on individually subjective criteria. Like I got out of the business of engaging in exercises in futility. I am only going to argue with people based upon things that are fact-based that I can verify. If I can't verify it because you can just counter me with an opinion of your own, then I'm bowing out of this. There's no point. And the thing that has become very exhausting with sports consumption in general is just people, and the media fuels this, but the media and then people by extension of the media get way too wrapped up in subjective debate, things that can never be proven. And like I personally can't do that for too long of a period of time because it exhausts me and it stresses me out. But I guess anybody else who can do it, they can just do it and do it and do it and do it, and it doesn't bother them because whether a person agrees with you or understands your point of view is irrelevant. You just want to be able to just talk about how you feel about stuff, then that's fine. I guess I understand that. But for me personally, if I'm gonna sit there and engage in a back and forth debate with somebody, and it's a passionate subject, but at the end of the day, we just walk away continuing to not even really appreciate the other person's point of view because your opinion is stoked in your own subjectivity and my opinion is stoked in my own subjectivity, I just rather not participate. So what I got to the point of doing was I graduated to a level where I started to say, my favorite player is this, or I like this player because of this. My all-time favorite player is this person, or my all-time favorite achievement is this, as opposed to just generally stating it, this is the greatest player ever, or he's the greatest this, or they're the greatest that, because it's useless. It's pointless. There's no point. There really is no point. It's stoked in individual subjectivity. And so unless you really truly get off on having a pointless conversation that has no end, I prefer to devote my energy elsewhere because it's exhausting and I'd rather not deal with it. So I do understand where he's coming from and I do get that. And the one other point that I did want to make about the whole comparing different eras and comparing different generations. Yeah, I guess older generations do say that the game now sucks because of various reasons, but our era does that too. Like our era sits around saying we're better because we shoot and dribble, we shoot threes better and we dribble better. And I guess players now are more athletic. So that is a case study for why the game today and players today are objectively better. And the only thing that I would like retort to that is I think that that's misplacing the conversation. Like clearly, because we live in a different time and we're 20, 30 years down the road, if you want to say players are better shooters and they have better handles and they're more athletic, thus they're just naturally better or more gifted basketball players, then in a vacuum, you can make that claim. But I would also suggest that if you put certain players from previous generations into the present day, with the same amount of technology and medical staffs and training
and
rules and amenities that you would have to kind of adjust or scale up their level of talent and productivity accordingly, instead of just saying flat out, oh no, they just sucked and these guys are better today. And I only wanted to make that point when it comes to the whole era driven part of the conversation. But overall, yeah, there is no GOAT as far as I'm concerned. Like, I got out of that business. I got out of it a long time ago. If somebody ever wants to come to me and try to talk to me about why LeBron is better than Jordan, I would just say, okay, you got it. And I'll move on.
Yeah.
I don't even want to bother having a conversation anymore. I don't care. So yeah, if you got it, bro, like, yeah, LeBron's better. That's fine. You can have it. And I'll move on with the rest of my day, because I no longer feel the need to engage in exercises in futility. If I'm gonna engage in any sort of exercise, it has to have a tangible resolution. For me, that's just how I look at it. So y'all can have at it. These GOAT debates and all of this kind of stuff. If people want to engage in that stuff, have fun. But I'm done. I'm out of it. I've been out of it for a very long time. I don't care.
Yeah, hey, same here, man. And you know, the whole part where Jordan feels like he's the best. Yeah, these are great answers. These are great answers that he gives, because you know he thinks he's better. All right, because in the Gayle King thing, because I was debating, I was like, damn, should we talk about this or should we talk about his competitive thing? Because he was like, you know, that whole curse with the competitive thing. Because, you know, I was sitting there looking at that clip, and he was sitting there saying that, hey man, he compete with his wife in the morning, see who's gonna get dressed. Who's gonna get dressed first? He does that. So it's like, damn, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? So he says that he doesn't know when to cut it off, basically. He's competing at all times. So with that level of competitiveness, yeah, man, I'm pretty sure he thinks that he was better than certain dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, but be that as it may, man, I really wish that the conversation goes away. But so long as we're dealing with sports media who in their mind's eye feels like they found an infinite content loop, the only thing that it's done is it made their programs unwatchable, and it turned a whole bunch of people into bots that feel like, oh, you like basketball? Yeah, man, I like basketball. Who do you think's the GOAT? Man, I don't want to have no Stephen A. Smith ass conversation, bro.
Yeah, that is a sports debate machination. It really is.
Yeah, man. Nobody used to ask me that. You know what I'm saying? Growing up or whatever, like, we felt like, all right, who's better now, I guess, kind of conversation. And so, you know, my guy was Iverson. You know what I'm saying? Your guy was Kobe, and you know, we would have our debates about that. You know what I'm saying? About the current stuff, but it was
active players, right?
Yeah, it wasn't any cross errors. It was like, oh yeah, he's better than Dominique Wilkins. Why would I say that? Why would I compare the two? You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't make sense. But that whole goofy ass thing, I told you, we had this conversation before, but you know, I started to notice going to the basketball court at PSN or wherever, like, people are bringing to the court conversations that were had on ESPN.
Yeah.
It's like, why you? Yeah, man, he's 6'8", 260, run like a freight train.
Yeah.
Like, where do you get that from? What's that freight train?
The way that I knew that a person was doing that, my trigger was whenever they said he makes his teammates better. Whenever I heard somebody say he makes his teammates better, I said to myself, "Oh, you just regurgitating ESPN talking points."
ESPN, bro. I've never heard that before. This modern era, I'll say that. Yeah, I'm hearing that he making his teammates better. He doing this, and I'm like, wait, what? And I may have heard that in passing, you know, them talking about Magic or Isaiah. It was just like, but it was every day.
Yeah, but
it makes his teammates better.
It was the way it was said. So like, you would say something like, because my dad used to talk about, like, my dad would talk about, who would he talk about? He would talk about, like, people like Grant Hill or
Yes.
Penny Hardaway.
Yes.
So my dad would say things like, man, this guy's a ball hog. Because when I used to watch Magic and all of these other guys, they used to pass the ball. So, if I would like, it's that kind of thing. So like if I would hear that to me was regular basketball conversation.
Yes,
like,
yes,
okay,
yes.
you think this guy's a ball hog, or this guy shoots too much, or this guy doesn't pass enough. But when you specifically start saying, oh, but he makes his teammates better. Nah, you got that from ESPN. Like you got that from First Take, bro. You didn't, that is not an original thought. Like that is not an original thought of your own. You got that from ESPN. And then you would use it, oh, he's better because he makes his teammates better than this. Nah, you got that from SportsCenter, bro.
Yeah, 100%, bro. So yeah, that's when I started to get nauseous with this level of conversation, like who's the GOAT or who's this and that, man. So with basketball, I pretty much throw it in the air, man. I personally don't care. I'm more in the class of there were greats in each era, and I can appreciate Dominique Wilkins as much as I can appreciate Michael Jordan, as much as I can appreciate Clyde Drexler. So even though Jordan thinks he's better than Clyde Drexler, but I can appreciate all those guys. So yeah, man, I was just a fan of basketball, man, and a fan of good basketball players. So I'm gonna keep sticking with that. I don't need a GOAT. I don't think there is one. And this answer I can get down with. So maybe since it's coming from the guy that everybody likes to debate about, that this can carry on beyond him and go, hey, you know what? I don't like the GOAT debate myself.
I wish. Yeah.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst. I'm sorry. There's 2 segments in a row where I'll burst your bubble.
Damn,
but no,
bro.
man, that's not gonna happen because these basketball players have too many sycophant fans. And like LeBron is one of them. Now, I'm gonna be fair. There are a lot of Jordan sycophants too, and there are a lot of Kobe sycophants too. So
yeah,
I'm being fair here. I'm not necessarily trying to go at LeBron fans, but LeBron has a whole lot of sycophants out there who it doesn't matter. They will keep this going because they will
part
not
of the fandom.
It is, and they will not rest.
Yeah,
until you are convinced that LeBron is the greatest player ever.
And that's what makes it lame, dog. Like, just let me enjoy basketball, bro, and let you have your GOAT.
Yeah.
But part of being a LeBron fan is that he is the GOAT, and that's why it's like, come on, bro, like let it rest. So yeah, and so he young too, and so we're gonna hear about this for a while.
Oh no, yeah, this is going to continue until the next version of him comes along, which will exist. I know people don't think it will, but it will. Give it some time. LeBron came along, and so he's done his thing. But trust and believe. People don't realize it and they don't think it. There will be another person who comes along and transcends the game, and they're going to do what he did too, where they're going to play a whole bunch of years. They're going to play 22, 25 years, and they're going to break his records. It's going to happen. I'm sorry to break the news to people, but it will. It doesn't seem like it now, but it's going to happen. It will. It may take a while, but it's going to happen.
RIP to the NBA, bro. Man, Jesus. Oh, brother.
For the We Are Cooked segment of this evening.
Seriously.
We discussed this Fruit Island catastrophe of a situation. This whole generative AI social media campaign where humanoid fruit were basically approximating Love Island shenanigans on social media. And a lot of the videos are being taken down, and people are celebrating the videos being taken down. But a lot of the people who were benefiting from the creation of this content are clapping back and making all sorts of veiled threats and just crashing out in general. So this says bullying works. AI series Fruit Love Island creator rage quits after mass video takedowns. The creator of the bizarre freakout hit Fruit Love Island crashed out after backlash against generative AI led to a rash of video removals. The owner of AI cinema accounts on TikTok and YouTube posted a string of videos cursing out those who they blame for their tanking view counts. This course of action doesn't appear to be solving their problem. Fruit Love Island, a series of Love Island parody videos generated by text-to-video models, often called AI, started taking off in late February. They feature anthropomorphic fruit characters entangled in highly dramatic situations, often involving infidelity revealed by babies born as the wrong produce item. After their popularity skyrocketed, these videos became the definition of AI slop among critics of programs like Sora. Posts routinely draw both tens of millions of views and many hate comments. If the creator of the series is correct, the hate recently escalated to mass reporting campaigns that led this person to post expletive-laden threats to end the show altogether. In a string of angry TikTok videos, at AI.cinema021 railed against AI hating expletive after like half of my videos got removed, claiming that these people spam reported my videos. They further threatened to use so much expletive AI and use all your expletive clean water, referencing common concerns about water usage by AI data centers. The creators' ire soon turned on their fans, screaming at them for unfollowing the account due to a lack of new uploads. I'll burn down the Love Island villa if I lose any more followers, they promised. As of Monday, the TikTok account remains open, but only contains 10 videos. The rage videos are also gone, but screenshots remain of the latest crash out post that declares the end of the series. Among critics of generative AI, the end of Fruit Love Island comes as a significant victory. On X, people largely celebrated the news and or mocked the creator's public meltdown. And so you can see some of the reactions there. Bro thinks people really care if he shuts down his AI-generated series or not. I'm crying. So a lot of people are laughing at this. Why can't you all just let people enjoy something? If you don't like it, then just don't watch it. Problem solved. I think Fruit Love Island isn't too bad. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's okay. Just let people enjoy things. So that was one person who was kind of clapping back at all the people who were celebrating in response to a lot of these videos being taken down. But so I guess strike one for the good guys when it comes to the people who don't really like generative AI. But this Fruit Love Island thing, man, didn't really know this was a thing until you brought this to my attention. But this is just weird stuff, man. But what do you make of this controversy and the stuff being taken down and people basically celebrating and then the creator crashing out on it?
You know, I saw a lot of outrage. The first I've heard of this was, you know, somebody making a post where they were outraged. And it was like, God, damn Fruit Love Island. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So everybody in the comment section was like, what do you mean? What's Fruit Love Island? Of course, you can search that. So I pull it up and I see these characters just doing the most random, rambunctious, saying the most off the wall kinds of things. And I'm like, who's watching this?
Yes, great question.
Yeah, who's watching this? It was like, oh, it was the biggest TikTok growth. Like it had like 1.3 million subscribers in like less than a week, and it was the fastest growing channel in TikTok history. And I'm like, but who's subscribing to this? I'm tell you, bro. Now there's adults, people that classify as adults,
right?
Okay, that have been conditioned on slop. Okay, and so they don't mind consuming this. I know young people for sure, the ones that are still in school, so the middle schoolers, the high schoolers, the ones that watch Netflix, the ones that know about Love Island, but are also into brain rot memes. This is gold. Now, I'm sure you've never heard of John Pork before. Okay. Of course you haven't, or Tim Cheese. Okay. But there's a whole like lore behind this anthropomorphic, I love that word, pig man. And they call him John Pork. What's the John Pork story? Go look it up. Okay. It's a whole rabbit hole of that. All right. And then there's Tim Cheese, and then there's other ones. Okay. Tim Cheese is a big rat that wears a suit. Listen, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm trying to bring home a point here. These kids and adults that find that kind of lore hilarious. Okay. This Fruit Love Island it's in that lane of just AI brain rot, but on roids, because it got something to do with live action brain rot, which is Love Island. It was a perfect merger. You know what I'm saying? So there were people that were caught up in both realms that found this splicing of content irresistible. So there were people that were I saw videos of people actually distraught that they took down some of the videos from Fruit Love Island. I've seen actual footage of some of these characters, and they look like how you would expect them to look. Okay. And to me, this is signs of the times of, I thought our generation was cooked, as the kids say now. I thought we were cooked, and that was in elementary school. Because I saw how we were. I mean, we were a bunch of misfits. And I was like, these are the future doctors, police officers, veterinarians. I said, this is a joke. We're a joke. It only got worse. Okay. So it only got worse. So the kids right now, and I'm not saying that all the kids are bad, but the amount of brain rot that is just commonplace for these young people is alarming. So we shouldn't be surprised that we have such a concept like Fruit Love Island, that it was one of the biggest platforms growing on the internet, and that there was a collection of people that were just saying, hey, let people have fun. What's fun about this? You know what I'm saying? But I think it is a score one, because I did see a lot of outrage. I saw more outrage than I saw pro, but that channel wasn't growing for no reason. So there's definitely DL Fruit Love Islanders out there that refuse to admit that they enjoy the content. But what are your thoughts, man, on the whole Fruit Love Island thing? The creator crashing out, people celebrating. What are your thoughts, bro?
So I remember when I was in the 2000 teens, that was the first time that I saw people who didn't watch TV, but they scrolled on their phone for the same amount of hours that I watched TV. So like, if I watched, let's say I watched 2 to 3 hours of TV a day, I was like noticing that there were people who were on Instagram, because Instagram, this was before TikTok. So at the time, I would notice that there were people who didn't really watch TV. A lot of them didn't have cable or nothing, but they were on their phone as much as I was watching TV, the same 2 or 3 hours a day. So that to me was the beginning stages of the viewing habits of humans now, where a lot of people have unplugged from traditional media, but that doesn't mean that there's this idea that the movement to unplug from traditional media means that people are finding other more productive things to do with their time. No, all that's happening is that time that used to be allotted for traditional media is being replaced with new media, but they're still allocating the same amount of hours per day to media consumption. It isn't a television screen or a computer, it's a phone. So for a lot of people, they don't watch TV shows in the traditional sense anymore. they're looking at skits. They're looking at skits, video skits on TikTok, or memes, or they're watching a video series, a podcast, or something like that, and that's their TV now, right? So they're subjected to the same level of weird social indoctrination that we were. It's just taken on a different form.
Mhm.
Now, the only reason why I bring that up is because back when you and I were kids, I remember people, guys in particular around our age, who would watch Sailor Moon, and they only wanted to watch Sailor Moon so that they can get their rocks off on looking at cartoons of scantily clad females. Same thing with certain other forms of anime where the women were drawn very like voluptuous. Yeah. Yeah. Like I remember watching X-Men the animated series, and bro, Rogue was bad. Like,
she was filled out.
Yeah, the way that they drew Rogue. I remember being a little kid and I'm watching this and I'm like, damn, Rogue is fine as hell.
But they did that they did some stuff on purpose too.
No, that was all on purpose. They didn't need to draw them like that.
No. She would make noises too and do certain things too at certain point. Nah, like for real.
Yeah. So like, you look at like Rogue from X-Men, and she wasn't the only character, or like Sailor Moon, or even if you were playing certain video games like Chun-Li and Street Fighter, or I forget the female character, one of the female characters in Tekken, and you're playing the characters and they breasts are just bouncing up and down. Like all Fruit Love Island is, the point that I'm trying to make is all Fruit Love Island is now is what that stuff was then. So people are complaining about generative AI and all of this kind of stuff. Really what this is the highly subjective. What this is the highly suggestive, borderline explicit, subliminal content of this era. And what they're exposed to now is Fruit Love Island versus what we were exposed to, which is Sailor Moon and Chun-Li and the female character from Tekken and Rogue from X-Men and all of the rest of these voluptuous female characters that were in comic books and video games and cartoons and movies and TV shows. So this is the evolved form of that. But I guess it looks different because it's not on a box in front of you, it's on your phone. And so we kind of internalize it differently, but it's the same thing. So personally, I believe that people objecting to this, yeah, they can say, good on you for, they can say, get out of here, we don't like this AI stuff. But what I really think they're saying is get out of here because this is a form of invasive, weird content that we don't appreciate. And as you alluded to, I do think that there's a lot more people who are upset that it's gone. Just like in our day, just like in our time when, I know plenty of guys who I grew up with who were friends in the neighborhood who really look forward to watching Sailor Moon. I'm just letting you know right now.
Me too, but I thought it was a good show. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no. It was them uniforms and them skirts, and them high socks. That was the appeal to it, and they wouldn't have appreciated Sailor Moon getting yanked off TV before they were ready for it to happen. So it is what it is, man. Whether we are happy that this is, well, I'll speak for myself. Whether I'm happy that this is gone because of my misgivings with AI, or whether I'm happy that it's gone because of my perception that this is a form of highly suggestive social conditioning, all the same, I'm just glad that it's gone because it's a form of poorly constructed, crappy, lazy content that needs to go. People need to figure out other ways to contribute to society than doing weird stuff like this.
I hear you, man, but the sad part is it's a demand for it.
Right. Yeah.
That's what's really sad about this, because these kids' humor, that's like, I ain't gonna lie. So the only reason why I know about John Pork is because it was like, what is this? So I'm looking up John Pork videos. I laughed at some, But then as I'm continue to go down this rabbit hole, I'm like, what am I really looking at? That's brain rot. Whenever you have to go, what am I looking at? How long have I been looking at this? When you enter this like portal of wasting away, looking at absolutely pointless stuff, that is like it is like these kids, they've turned memeing into a whole thing, bro. Like it's like 5D meme. It's like, it's not just a picture that's funny. It's like a whole thing. It's hard to explain. It's like when we first got introduced to memes, it was funny because it was something relatable, blah, 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 blah. Then it just became, it's so ridiculous. It's so outrageous. And then they started adding layers on that. So they get lost in a meme. Fruit Love Island is like a meme television show where it tickles that fancy of pointlessness, and they find humor in that. But the problem with brain rot is that it's so pointless, because the pointlessness is what makes it funny. It's so pointless that it kind of fries your brain if you always think like that nothing matters, everything's pointless, everything's a joke, it's degenerative. It's a horrible type of content, I would say. But then I've had we've had our own degrees of brain rot.
Exactly.
Yeah. But this seems just more aggressive, I guess.
It is. Well, it is more aggressive because think about it like the music. It's what I say about the music sometimes. Like when we were growing up, our relative level of exposure, influence rather, our relative level of influence when it comes to how like the music could influence us, it was limited to when we had the time to sit down in front of the TV and watch MTV and BET, other than listening to the music itself, right? So now it's way different because the music is everywhere. Like unless we like, when we were growing up as kids, it was like a privilege to own a portable CD player, to be able to like listen to music on the go. Because if you didn't have the privilege of owning one of those things, you couldn't listen to the music unless you were in the car or unless you were at home watching it on TV or something like this, or listening to it on the radio at home if y'all had a radio in the house. So it was less pervasive. But because of the advancement of technology, the influential nature of the content is more palpable because of how more readily accessible it is. So it is more aggressive, but it isn't more aggressive purely in the sense that it's somehow fundamentally different. I think it's fun. I actually think it's the same. Like I kind of feel like Fruit Love Island is the same as the stuff that we were looking at before, but it's worse because you can look at it now literally anytime you want, whenever. Like I couldn't watch Sailor Moon unless I woke up early enough in the morning to watch the rerun. I couldn't watch it. It wasn't there. But now, thanks to streaming or the phone or YouTube or whatever, you can literally watch it all the time. So the amount of instances of exposure does make it worse. But that's not to conflate that with the nature of the content itself, which I think is largely unchanged. It's just an evolved form based upon what people are doing now. So people are memeing now, and people made cartoons before. People don't make cartoons now, so now they meme. So it's an evolved form of it. But what makes it so dangerous is the ubiquitousness of it. It's everywhere, and it's readily at your fingertips. So that's the difference, is that it's just right there in front of you, and it's right there. It's right in front of you all the time. It's the adult content stuff. Like, we had to rely on scrambled. We had to rely on like back
what they know about that.
back in the 90s, for anybody who doesn't know this, like the cable before was this little small set-top box. All right, it was a cable box. Only people with money had these things in the house. And not everybody had those. And if you didn't own one of those cable boxes, the only way that you was looking at something was scrambled on the TV screen where you could barely make out what's going on. So you either had to rely on that scrambled stuff, or you had to rely on a cable box 1 or 2 nights a week on the weekend, late at night on a Friday or Saturday to see some stuff. And that's it. That was it. Other than that, it was magazines that you stole from your older brother. That was it. That's all you had. Now it's on your phone 24/7
at your fingertips.
Yeah. And if you have the OnlyFans subscription, or if you got these proclivities and you paying for it, all you got to do is just grab your phone and it's right there. You don't even need to be connected to Wi-Fi. You can be on data internet and boom, it's right there. So it's worse, not because of the nature of the content, but because of the sheer availability. That's what makes it worse.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you, bro. Go watch an episode of Fruit Love Island. All right. Go watch an episode. And I'm gonna tell you, bro, when you look, I hear your point. But once you see, at least my thing was, at least you had to be sophisticated to brain rot me back in the day. There was a whole mythology going on with X-Men. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on, man. This right here, bro. This is so, I mean, 1, 2, 3, bro. Like it's mind blowing how fast it blew up. How much people thought this was that's the mind-blowing part for me. I hear everything you're saying. Yeah. But when I saw this, I was like, this is a new level. We have reached a new level where, it's like the critical mass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The tipping point of this is where we're at in society, where this blew up. You know what I'm saying? That's the part about it where I'm like, yeah, we're in trouble. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I hear your point, man. And
Fruit Love Island is a Nexus event. You would say Fruit Love Island is
I don't think it's been around long enough for that, but I think it's signs of the times. I think it's a warning sign. So, you know what I'm saying? It's the locust appearing. You know what I'm saying? It's the locust showing up. All right, this ain't the event, but this is signs that, hey, it's around the corner, bro. So the Nexus event is around the corner when we got this popping off, bro.
Yeah, I feel that. I'll go ahead and I've seen snippets. I couldn't bear to bring myself to actually sit there and watch a full thing.
Well, don't watch a full thing, because that's when it gets you. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, bro. There's something behind this, bro. But when you look at, that's all. If you got enough to get a gist of it, that's all. But my thing is that there's people that watch it.
Yeah, right. Like it's legitimate entertainment, TV show, appointment viewing. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So it's brain frying for sure. Enough for you to go, all right, I've seen enough. They say I need more. How fried do you have to be? That's my concern, man. And you supposed to be my doctor when I'm 80. You know what I'm saying? And you sit here, what?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
We are cooked. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's my problem with this. Hey, man, look, I need y'all to take care of me. I'm almost there any damn way. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm almost, in 20 more years, bro, I'm going to need to be at the doctor every other month, just for checkups and make sure that I go to this specialist, go to that specialist, make sure I'm on point, man. I guess AI going to be doing that. So, yeah, man, it is what it is, bro. But all I'm saying is, bro, this Fruit Love Island thing for me, I was shocked. Not so much, but still enough shock to go, wow, I'm rarely surprised, man.
I think I was literally about to say that. I think you need to train your brain to learn how to not be surprised at the limits that people will go to consume content and be entertained.
I think this is what's doing it. No, for real. Because I would struggle. The reason why I'm on social media is because yeah, I watch it, I'm on it, but it's how I stay current with where people are. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much of me consuming it because I'm very interested to figure out where everybody's at. And there's certain things that I go, I'm not surprised by that. This one I go, you kidding me? You know, this one, it shouldn't shock me from all the stuff that I've seen, but it's still one of those, it's concerning. You know, that's what I say. It's like the locust, bro. It's like, damn, we got a plague of Fruit Love Island going on. And that should be concerned. That should be like a warning, I would say, for people. I don't think this is something we should easily dismiss. I think that this is a warning for worse things down the line, brain rot related, you know, and what have you. But yeah, man, I'll take this mini victory, but there's going to be the evolution of this thing. We're going to see something worse than this.
Yeah. Sure. I'm going to be real with you, dog. I'm not surprised at all. You know, I mean, people want back when we were growing up, people like to watch real flicks and people would like to watch cartoon flicks. And I didn't get it. I thought it was weird. I thought it was weird that you got off on cartoons and anime, but to know that was going on 30 years ago, I'm not surprised by it. Well, 40 years ago at this point, but I'm not surprised by this. This doesn't surprise me at all. This is just an evolution of that insatiable desire to just go down that rabbit hole on more weird, deranged, pervasive, incredibly suggestive content. So yeah, I think you should just learn how to not be surprised anymore.
Yeah.
There's gonna be the next one. There's gonna be the next one.
I know.
Oh, well, there you go. Shouts out to everybody who chimed in to celebrate the demise of Love Island.
Hope that goes next.
Yeah, Fruit Love Island, not Love Island, but Fruit Love Island. And shouts out to y'all for checking us out, man. Shouts out to y'all for taking a look at our videos. JB Wins Dogon SS, as always. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. I am on Instagram at JB Wins, JBWINS. Download the podcast, search Conscious Approach on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. And as I always like to say, everybody, don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. Think for yourself. And until next time, thank you very much for watching.
Hey, man, the name is Dogon SS. Skr. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, TikTok, Meta, Twitter, X. Hey, man, if there's a social media platform out there, Dogon_SS is also out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow, and all that good jazz. And as I say every week, guys, we greatly appreciate you all for watching, liking, sharing, the video, because we drop these jewels every week, man. So come on over and join us, man. Join the live, leave some comments. We greatly appreciate y'all. And yeah, man, don't be too high. Don't be too low either, man. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, still got more rings than Robert Horry and Michael Jordan. And we'll see y'all on the next episode. Chill.
About to go watch reruns of Sailor Moon.
That was a good show, bro. It kind of lost me later on in it, but it had a good patch. You know what I'm saying? So I used to watch it just off the legitimacy, bro. I didn't even know people were watching it like that. Bro.
Oh, yeah. People was watching it. All right, y'all. We are out of here. Peace. Until next time.
Chill.